Yep, I'm live. I'm back by, well, maybe not so popular demand, but small bit of demand, right? Anyways, I see Captain Nobody's in the stream. Thanks for showing up there, Captain Nobody. Appreciate it. Just going to share the links or the link to the stream to everyone. I didn't really pick as you can tell probably already, I didn't really pick a topic per se for this stream other than just some updates, kind of deal with things as we go. I'm going to be asking for people if they have any particular requests on particular topics or subjects that they would like to see me cover, or maybe even do videos about. That's the thing. I haven't actually done just a video upload in quite a while, actually, because I've been really busy doing the stream. And because, like I say, to try to stay on top of all these particular topics and issues, well, if I did each video, because usually each video I do, each video deals with a particular topic or article or subject matter. Whereas at least when I'm doing the streams, I can cover a lot of, a lot of different articles. Maybe sometimes it's all mostly sticking to the same issue. So obviously the COVID stream, but there's so many aspects in all this, what's happening, what's taking place as a consequence of COVID-19. So, like I say, bringing philosophy to the table and liberty, obviously bringing it at the forefront, and freedom of speech, another important aspect here. But anyways, like I said, let me just get this stuff all done up on the social media pages. Okay, we're good to go on the Twitter. Yeah, we're good on the Facebook. It's funny, my Facebook page has been growing. I mean, not by leaps and bounds by any stretch of the imagination. That's never going to take place. I know that anyways. When you're the kind of person who wants to tell people the exact things that they never want to hear, which is truth, right? You want to burst their little delusional bubble. Yeah, it's not usually the most popular thing to do. Okay, let me close that up. But yeah, I found it odd though that my my Facebook page is growing pretty good. On the YouTube side of things, though, no, I'm actually, like I say, still losing subscribers. But whatever, it is what it is. Like I say, obviously the fact that I bring it up, alludes to the fact that I still think about it. But I mean, a person would drive themselves nuts if you focus too much on this whole social media. And I don't like I say, whether it's the algorithms or just people or the social media platforms are messing with us. Who knows? Like I say, it's really hard to know that. Actually, let me just this. I'm just going to answer while I'm here, folks. Sorry, I'm just doing this in real time here, but there is a lady that's been commenting on one of my social media posts on my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not. Actually, let me bring that up. Why not? I'll just bring that right up while what's going on, Derek. I found a sign at a TD Bank that said "Stand together by standing apart." Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Missy? Hi, friend. Blessing to you as well. Like I say, I'm just going to because I'm really, like, as you folks know, I try to reach out to people, especially and in particularly very few even women. Well, I want to talk to a woman. I don't care if she's right wing, left wing, but I would love to have a discussion with a lady, someone of the female persuasion, right? Come on. But anyway, so I'm hoping that this will pan out. Like I said, I might as well bring you folks along for the ride. See if you can see that. Yeah, no problem. So as you can see, that was a post. Oh, my stream just went down. Or not, the stream didn't go down, but seriously only 3 people? Oh, well. All right. Anyways, like I say, so I'll just, like I say, I'll bring you folks along with this journey here. But as you can see, it's a post I had put. Yeah, on my Facebook page, obviously. Why I this is my writing or my words, is why build a safer job creating pipeline when you can ship the oil on huge petroleum consuming vessels that must travel vastly longer distances to get to the same destination? So anyways, like I say, to me, this is just insane. Now I'm glad they're finding a way to circumvent or get around the basically not just the protesters blockade, but basically governments. That's the thing. You have governments in this country now, whether you're talking about the Quebec government or the BC government or the federal government. You have government, like, and I mean, to me, it's not that I'm a fan of any of these politicians, like, but you have basically activist politicians now that are using their power, like their use of the monopoly of force, to prevent economic activity from flourishing and trying to, shut down entire segments of the economy. Like this, like I say, I don't care who you are or what kind of democracy or what kind of government you support. Like, come on, at the very least, can we all at least acknowledge that governments were never supposed to be set up in any way, shape, or form to become activists, where people can play politics with the entire segments of the economy? Like, anyways, but this is the world that we live in, right? As much as it shouldn't be, but this is the reality. But like I say, if you think about what they're doing here now, and it's called the taking a long way around. This is a business, a Financial Post article. And Irving Oil has received the go-ahead to ship Alberta crude to its New Brunswick refinery from Vancouver to St. John via the Panama Canal. The scrapped west to east Energy East pipeline was the proposed solution to getting Western oil to Eastern Canada, but the project idea was scrapped in 2017. Well, the only reason why it's scrapped because the environmentalists, in conjunction with these activist governments, have been basically making it impossible to do so. So look at, instead of running it, now you see where it starts up there, right? So basically Fort McMurray and around the Edmonton area, I guess, where the pipelines start. And, you just travel across the country, and there it takes you to St. John. And of course, building the pipeline would have created lots of jobs along that entire corridor. And then, of course, the spin-off jobs that's a consequence of that kind of economic activity taking place across, the entire country. Everybody's got to go buy their lunch, right? Everyone's got to fill up their tanks in their car. Everyone's got to go. I mean, the thing, go buy themselves some new work boots. I mean, come on, there's lots of economic activity that would have taken place in Canada, for lots of people in Canada who are desperate for jobs, right? And in addition to that, once you do have the pipeline going to St. John, then once again, well, I mean, we know pipelines have been proven time and time again to be safer than vessels or on trains and stuff like that, although they're all fairly safe. Let's not kid ourselves. They're all pretty damn safe, right? You don't hear too many incidents. I mean, the odd time, but most of the time, this stuff happens seamlessly. But the fact that now, and of course, if the refinery is refining and that's the thing with the Irving refinery, it's fitted to deal with heavy and light crude, so it could refine it. And then once again, that's all value added in our country without having to send it somewhere else. Like most of the time, that would be going down to the U.S., down to Texas or somewhere, or Oklahoma or anywhere along those lines to go to refineries to get the value added done there. Why can't it happen in Canada? Why shouldn't it happen to Canada? Right? Makes sense. It's being extracted in this country. Why shouldn't it be refined in this country? So anyways, they found some way to get around all this regulatory hurdles and these environmentalist movements. But if you look at it, like an absolute waste. Like, this is what I mean. Think of how this is what governments does and activists. So these activists and these governments, and I repeat myself, I know, they're not preventing the oil from getting to the refinery. As you can see, the oil is going to get to the refinery, but now instead it's going to take a huge voyage. What was it? I think it was like 16,000. I forget exact numbers. You'd have to read the article. But look at it. It's got to travel all the way down the West Coast, all the way down, below into just between North America and South America. And you got to cross through the Panama Canal, the locks. And then you got to travel all the way up through, what is this? Oh yeah, you got like Cuba and places like there, and you're in the Caribbean Sea there. But look, you got to travel all the way up through there, and then all the way up the East Coast to finally reach your destination of St. John. So rather than, like I say, all value-added jobs, and like I say, the spinoff effect that would be a consequence of those value-added jobs. But now you got to make all that. So I mean, obviously, the cost that's going to be incurred from having to ship it, that, because that's the other thing. These vessels, these big gigantic oil vessels, they consume themselves a tremendous amount of oil or gas or diesel, right? Whatever there's power in these things, to get to their destination. So obviously, it's going to be more cost intensive by the fact that you got to use these big giant ships. It's going to be more cost intensive there. Then you got the fact that they're going to have to impose those added additional costs on the backside of it, which means, you and I as the consumer is going to have to pay higher amounts for what? And for what? And obviously the fact that it's got to traverse in these waterways for such vast distances, it does lead to the potential of some spill happening. Now, like I say, I'm not going to play the whole game with, we got to take these oil supplies or gas, natural gas, take them out of the waterways because, they're danger or hazard. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying if you had two options, the safer option, especially if you're thinking like from these environmentalist mindset, is, don't you think it'd be much safer to do it through the pipeline way than to send it that way around, right? And like I say, it would end up being more cost effective to do so. But anyways, like I say, I've had a fair amount of engagement on this particular post, and I was just waiting to hear a response from a lady that I had offered to have a further discussion with. Hey, PM me. Let's see. Okay, so I will. PM you. Oh yeah, right. So as you can see, well, this is good then. This is great. So hopefully I'll get a chance to have this conversation. So this Nicole, her message, because she was pretty reasonable in terms of what she put on there, wasn't trollish, right? Anyways, she put whether or not this is for or against Canadian workers, in my own opinion, investing in this old technology, i.e. oil, is like investing in 8-track or cassette tapes. Why not invest in a more modern version of harnessing energy? As we can see, the price of oil is so volatile. Invest in something more stable. And as I always mention, now she did get, what a shit for Brain's idea to transport through the canal. So anyways, I forget. I guess I forgot. I like that one. But she's had some pushback, obviously, from a few different folks. But I figured, let's be reasonable with the woman. She's being reasonable in her response. So, of course, my response was, I support innovation and development of alternative sources of energy. However, oil and gas use is still an absolute necessity for the foreseeable future. Pretending otherwise is to deny reality itself. Not to mention how entitled a person comes across when they praise the demise of the very source of all their creature comforts and ability to live in this modern world like kings and queens in comparison to the rest of human history. If environmentalists want others to respect them, they need to stop living in this delusional bubble of entitlement and start truly leading by example by no longer using oil and gas derived products. Good luck with that, by the way, right? Because like I say, to me, the only people that have any legitimacy in their gripe in terms of oil and gas extraction or use are people that don't use it. Because if you're using it, then come on, at least admit that you're a hypocrite. I mean, what are you willing? Are you willing to give up everything, that is derived from natural or oil and gas extraction? Because if you are, basically, like I say, then get ready to make your own moccasins, go hunt down your own, moose or deer or elk and use that fur and build yourself something, to keep you warm in those winter nights. Maybe design yourself a nice little teepee, or hey, maybe build a little log cabin. But remember, you gotta use whatever tools that you can create and build without using any oil or gas. So actually, I don't even know. Even a saw, right? Even just a chainsaw or an axe for that matter. Well, that metal, right? Unless you're a blacksmith yourself, right? Or into forging yourself, that metal and that handle, that, like I say, if you've seen just how much energy went in just to producing a simple thing like a hand or an axe, you'd realize, oh, shoot. But that's the thing. A lot of these people that get in this mindset of turning away from, but like this lady obviously didn't say, let's shut it down, which is why, like I said, I feel like I could probably have a reasonable conversation. But you know how many of them out there that say, oh, yeah, we just got to shut it down. I mean, listen to Elizabeth May and Blanchet. Like, well, come on, really, though? I mean, you know, these people are playing politics and not even being slightly honest in their messaging when they're talking about, oh, yeah, we don't need that. Oh, come on. Like, there's no possible way at this point in time to turn away from oil and gas. There's no source. If, like I say, if there was an alternative source that was readily available and we could pivot away, right? People would be willing to do it. Especially if it's cheaper. That's the thing. It's like these people don't realize. Do you not realize what a market is? Market is if you offer someone a better product at a cheaper price, and it's more reliable as a source of, let's say, energy, right? They'll go that way automatically because most people are reasonable enough, especially when it comes to saving their bottom line, saving a dollar or two, right? And if it's more efficient, and I'm all for some of these alternative solutions in terms of energy use, but there's no way in hell we are ever going to get out from underneath the fact that we definitely require and rely on oil and gas extraction and the refining and the use of all the products that come from that. Even things like plastic. I mean, that's the thing. Anyways, I'll get to that because I covered it right in the article. Anyways, and then my follow-up comment was, do you realize how much energy went into making whatever device you're using to comment here, Nicole? Every single piece of plastic, metal, or glass component came to exist due to oil and gas being extracted, refined, and consumed. And that is just one of countless things you rely on daily that would not exist without oil and gas. Shouldn't you be leading by example by not using products that rely on oil and gas? And then she replied, hey, I can get behind oil. There is a need, but what I am not for is the amount of money the government puts into investing in this. I'm with you. I'm all for getting government out of the right. Yeah. Separation of government and economics. I'm all for 100%. What I'm not for is it crossing indigenous lands. And what I'm not for is the possibility of error and damaging our great land either. Well, first of all, crossing indigenous lands, this is an issue, which is why I offered to have the conversation, because there's a lot of nuance to having that discussion, right? Because like I say, nobody can lay claim to the kind of lands that, whether you talk about the king, the queen, right, the monarchy, or Trudeau, the federal government, the provincial government, or First Nations, or tribal chiefs, or hereditary chiefs. I don't believe any of these people have any legitimate claim over this vast swaths of land. Like I say, I just don't fall for that nonsense, right? But I'm like I say, I'm sure we could have a decent discussion regarding this, and I'm sure she might very well agree with that, right? Anyways, and yeah, of course, who wants the land destroyed? I sure as heck don't. It's not a perfect situation, no, and the government should never have invested that much money into it. And this whole shipment to go through the Panama Canal is ass backwards. I'm sure you can agree there. Yes, I do, 100%. I agree with you for the most part and believe we could both benefit from having a discussion about this during a live stream. Canadians are just desperate to see and hear real people discussing these very important topics in an honest manner. Would you be willing to have a conversation with me in live stream? So anyways, as you can see, so Nicole has said, and I'll get back to her as soon as I am done with this stream. Yeah, let me turn that off for now. And like I say, if she's willing to, I would love to have a discussion with Nicole and see what we can hammer out. Because like I said in my reply, is Canadians definitely, rather than hearing the political rhetoric or the controlled opposition from the hacks in the media, I'm sure there are a lot of Canadians that would like to hear two genuine Canadians just sit down and talk about this thing. Hey, what's going on? Looks like I got a new member. Right on. Check this out here. Hey. Right on, Soul Changes. Thank you very much. Became a YouTube member. Sweet. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. I'll have to check. Unfortunately, I got to wait till after the fact, I believe, because it doesn't show up until after I close off the stream what level of support that you chose to take. But anyways, I'll do a special shout out to you right now, because at the very least, all levels get a special shout out. So like I say, special shout out to you, Soul Changes. And thank you very much. I hope that I'm saying that right. SOL changes. Shit out of luck changes. SOL, right? But really appreciate that. And like I say, during the next live stream I do, not only I'll give you another special shout out as well. But if you're with the mid-level or the upper level and whatever that comes with. So with the live chat, and that's another thing. Actually, now that I'm getting a few more members here, like I say, I'm soon going to be announcing making a members only live stream where we can just have private chat, which I think that'll be pretty interesting. So thank you once again there, SOL Changes. I appreciate it. Okay, let me get back up there, folks, and see who else has joined the stream. Aha, Newfoundlander. Yes, bye. Hey, good morning, Newfoundland Sea Siren. Oh, that's a pretty cool name, Sea Siren. Right on. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining the stream. And by the way, everyone, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, would be really appreciative there. Put your seatbelts on. Ben is taking us for a ride. yeah. I'll hopefully get on a couple good rants here, maybe. Missy. That Missy. See, I know she is from NB. That's the thing. There's obviously lots of ladies named Missy, but yeah, I know of a Missy from NB actually, but no, you don't quite exactly. Although you kind of look a little familiar in some way there, Missy. But anyways, I'm from the amazing NB too. Actually, it's funny about the NB. Actually, maybe Missy would know. Let me bring this up because I wasn't going to cover it in an actual stream until I could verify, because I just don't know the source at all. But I found it to be quite an interesting article. Where is that? Here we go. And maybe Missy is familiar with this publication. I did do a Google search, and according to Wiki and the actual website itself, it seems like it's it's just a small community newspaper. Anyways, I'm gonna make sure you folks can see that there. But I found this quite interesting. It was an article. I can't even remember now where the heck I found this. It was shared, or someone else had tweeted it or something, or somehow I stumbled across it somehow. Anyways, but it's by acadinouvelle.com. And it had a headline, "Exclusive: An experimental treatment against COVID-19 deployed in New Brunswick." And it was done by Simon Delaterre, April 2nd, 2020. So it's, a little over a month old now. New Brunswick becomes the first Canadian province to organize the use of hydrochloroquine to treat patients with COVID-19. Promoted by some scientists as a possible cure for the virus, this drug continues to divide experts. Acadie has learned that doctors from the two health networks in the province are preparing to prescribe hydrochloroquine to patients tested positive for the new coronavirus on a voluntary basis. According to Dr. Gabriel Girard, microbiologist and infectologist at the CHU George L. Dumont, the drug could be administered within the next few days, even hours. Vitality Health Network and Horizon Health Network are developing a clinical study registry to assess the effects of treatment. The clinical data collected from New Brunswick patients will be shared with national and international registers in order to rapidly advance research. Known under the trade name Plaquenil, hydrochloroquine has been prescribed for several decades against malaria, but also against lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. So anyways, folks, so like I say, this here, and it looks like a publication. And like I say, because that was a month ago, well, if that actually did take place, I'm not sure if you're familiar with now, but Missy probably is if she's paying attention to the news in regards to New Brunswick. But yeah, New Brunswick, all the cases. Well, actually, no, I guess there was one new case reported, I guess. What was it, yesterday, that my wife was telling me about, I think. And I don't know, maybe today something else is coming out. No, I'm just not privy yet. But all the original cases, because it had gone, what was it, about 2 weeks or a little beyond 2 weeks with not even one new case in New Brunswick. And during that 2-week time frame, with no new cases reported at all, and the numbers in this province are massively small anyways, and it does probably play a huge effect in the geographic composition of this province. Very sparsely populated, very spread out. A lot of people do still live in rural communities. But where was I going with that? I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, that's sorry. But yeah, everyone had seemed to have recovered in New Brunswick, no deaths. And at that point, like I say, up until, what was it, yesterday, there was that one new case, but like I say, there might be more today. But up until that point, everyone that had gotten COVID-19 in New Brunswick had all recovered. So whatever they're doing in this province now, like I say, who knows if it's a direct consequence or effect of this using this particular drug, right? This caloric will or whatever, that probably is a contributing factor, I would suggest, or based on this article, it seems that way. But yeah, in New Brunswick, like I say, whether it's by luck, happenstance, geographic composition, or in conjunction with what these fine folks are doing in terms of this particular drug, is New Brunswick seems to have done a really, really good job of keeping COVID-19 cases, incidents, and no deaths. So done a really good job in this province, which is a perfect reason why, yes, we should be starting to open up this province. I mean, come on. There's no chance at this point in time, right, that it's going to overwhelm, especially if you do things in a decent manner. So yeah, let's get people back to genuine normality, because I am overly concerned with a lot of people being conditioned to accept this kind of lockdown. I don't like it for 1 minute, and I would like to see things start to open up. Like I say, I don't care if it's done in a hastened manner or even in a more slower manner. But let's get things going here, folks, because people need their freedoms. And once they've gotten their freedoms again, well, hopefully they'll realize just how terrible it was when they lost those freedoms. Oh, that's the thing, though. Some people are enjoying this tremendously. Some people are basically getting months-long paid vacation to sit on their duff. So those people probably aren't too anxious or chomping at the bit to get back to work. But I'm sure there are a lot of other New Brunswickers who are. And at this time of the year, there'd definitely be those in the construction fields that would be definitely waiting and anxiously anticipating going back to work. Anyway, so like I say, I figured that was kind of an interesting article, right? And since Missy is a fellow MBer, I figured, yeah, why not bring that up? Well, thank you, Missy. You look great in blue. So yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, blue's a pretty cool color. I got like 3 or 4 different colors of blue shirt. Yeah. Of course, I'm just thinking back years ago. It's making take me back to my competitive days. A lot of the folks that I used to ride around with our ATVs or snowmobiling, because like I say, my home is in the rural part of New Brunswick, and everybody out this way rides ATVs and bikes and snowmobiles and all that stuff. And yeah, the blue thing is like, because I'm a Honda guy. Well, prefer, right? I'm not a dogmatist in anything. Like I'll switch up on multitude things, but when it comes to particular machinery, like my particular machine, the Honda 450R, the 450 race machines, that was my preference. I preferred the Honda. Big fan of the Honda, especially when you're talking about ATVs. They make some great ones. Anyways, but yeah, a lot of folks in my neck of the woods are Yamaha peeps, and they're blue, right? So it's the blue versus the red, right? Just like the liberals and the conservatives. And talk about rivalry, just as rivalrous, and can get just as nasty as well, right? This whole thing, and actually, just like with most things, I was always in the minority, just because it seems to be, especially in this part of New Brunswick. A lot of Yamaha fans. So I was always in the minority, right? But gave me all the more reason to make sure the old Honda was functioning rather well, right? Which it always did. I gave a lot of the blue boys the blues many, many times. But anyways, that's just me thinking out loud in the whole red versus blue thing. It's not just politics, folks. Tankers burn bunker fuel, horrible emission. Yeah, yes. Oh, it's crazy, right? That's the thing. And think about how much it's going to require to go on that big, huge voyage, right? What's going on, Howard G? Hello. We should get a few more viewers tweeted again. Yeah, that would be cool, Missy. Thanks. I appreciate it. I don't. It is what it is. Oh, I see Spartan Chuckles is in the chat as well. Thank you very much, Spartan Chuckles, another member, and a lot of the anti-oil crowds also protect animal crowd. Yeah, like that's the thing, though. I mean, a lot of people are. I mean, I'm all for protecting animals to a certain degree, right? Unless it's dinner time, right? And maybe the time that they got to go, get on my plate. No, but I'm just kidding. NL. Oh, NL. Where are you in NB? At NL? Oh, you're talking to someone from Newfoundland, I assume. Okay. Oh, thank you again, Missy. You're awesome. What's going on? Freedom Free for All. And thank you for tweeting it as well. Appreciate that. Okay, where are we at here? Scrolled up on me again. There we go. That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. Bernard Hutchinson. Hey, what's going on, sir? Hello, Mr. Bennett. How do? Greetings from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Oh, by the way, yeah, greetings to you too, Bernard. By the way, yeah, so in addition to the updates, well, the request part is, like I say, is there any particular topic or subject matter that you folks would like to see me cover that maybe I haven't covered in a while? Chances are I probably have at some point in time, though, especially if it has to do with anything regarding liberty, right? But if you do have any suggestions, like I say, I'm taking suggestions right now. Ben, do you do interviews? Yeah, for sure. Oh, on other channels. Your message needs to get out there. On other channels? Not sure what you mean, Missy, but I only use my YouTube. I don't have multiple YouTube channels. I just have this one. Well, actually, I did have one. Me and my son, and maybe someday we can hopefully get back to doing that, but he got busy with his own thing and we didn't have time and scheduling and all that stuff. But I have another YouTube channel, Liberty Hunter Podcast. I actually have another Facebook page because, like I say, I had set everything up. Actually, I think that link is still even contained within when I upload my videos now. I have another, like I say, Liberty Hunter Podcast because I was hoping that me and him could do like a weekly, once a week podcast. Matter of fact, I'll put it out there now. I'm still looking if anyone would be interested, although I'm going to be quite selective and picky. I would like to have some kind of a co-host that I could have on a weekly basis, just one time per week, maybe one day on the weekend. I would love to get back into doing Liberty Hunters podcast. And like I say, make it so it's a two individuals, two co-hosts together, and make it into a podcast type of a setup. But other than that, I definitely am willing to do interviews or anything like that, but it's all done on my Canadian Libertarian channel. Now, I can send it out to different platforms if that's what you're asking. Like when I'm doing this stream now, I have the option to just stream it out to my YouTube channel, but I can also stream it out to Periscope. And I wish they would include BitChute because I would love to be able to include BitChute. Anyways, hopefully that answered your question. But when it comes to interviews, I'm always looking for interviews. Matter of fact, I would prefer it, and I enjoy having those kinds of conversations, whether it's friendly conversation or a debate with someone that has disagreements with me. I'm constantly looking for that kind of stuff, but very, very, very few takers. A lot of people, and that's the thing that's funny part because people say, "Oh, I'm just too shy," or "I just don't." Listen, if you knew who I was, I didn't even used to like to get my picture taken for most of my entire life. And ask anyone that's ever known me, like I don't even usually like to be like the one to get my picture taken. But it was my son. Like I talked years ago how I said, because I would always do all my talk about these things and discussing liberty, but it'd always be done on like Facebook or Twitter or on the social media pages in text form. And I'm just not a fan of typing. So I mentioned, what's it been, 6 years or so now since I've been doing this channel. I mentioned I should start doing this because it's better. I function better when I'm talking and I can visually see the person that I'm conversing with. I'm still old school that way. But my son was telling, but I kept saying, no, I kept procrastinating, saying, no, I don't want to do it. No, because I'm too shy. I'm camera shy and all that stuff. My son kept saying, yeah, well, okay, Dad, but what did you always tell us, me and Matt, what did you always tell us anytime we had some obstacle or barrier that we were afraid to tackle or to get over, right? It's like, well, man up, right? Like, don't be shy. Like, obviously don't dive in head first, but yeah, you're just going to have to step up the plate, show a little more courage and make sure that you do that. So, because you'll never know unless you try. So, of course, my son flipped the script right back on me. He said, well, don't you think you should take the same advice if you're going to offer that shit? Yes, son, you're absolutely right. So that's what I did. And like I say, when I look back now at the first video or two I did, like, or not just the first two, but the first bunch actually is like kind of cringy. I was very slow, like it talking more, obviously more chill, more relaxed because, well, everything was just so new at the time. And I believe, yeah, I was just sitting at the kitchen table in the apartment that we were renting at the time. And what was it? My laptop, I think I had. But anyways, but like I say, I got over it. And like I say, what am I, 6 years now later? And feel quite comfortable doing so. So I'm like I say, anyone that wants to have an interview, and even if you're a little bit shy, the first time is a little difficult, but you'll get over it pretty quickly. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to try to make you feel uncomfortable. Anyways, I always try my best to make whoever I'm having a conversation with it feel as comfortable as possible. Anyways, what's going on, Green Boston? Green Boston. What's going on? That's a cool name, Green Bastard. Turn that thumb blue. The blue avatar. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is the same color like the avatar, right? Yeah, it is. Yes, it's our local paper and not owned by liberals. We have no deaths and one case. Right on. Thanks for the confirmation there, Missy. Yeah, I kind of figured it must be. Because it's a legit site. Like it's set up and it's, it's a secure website. It's not just someone with their blog, right? So, but that's good to know. That's good to know because it seems like that they've done a pretty darn good job here in the old province of NB. Really, really happy to know about that. Katie knows great. Some reporters are shady, but it's great. Cool. Good to know. Trudeau isn't liking you right now. Yeah. Yeah. Trudeau don't like me at all, I would imagine. I don't even, actually, he probably doesn't even know who the hell I am, right? We got the winning formula. Hey, it seems to be, right? It seems to be. And the beautiful thing is, well, PEI, like they've had obviously a good track record in terms of cases, and I don't think they've had any deaths either. But hey, PEI is an island. New Brunswick is actually completely attached, right, to Quebec. So, I mean, actually even, you can cross down, go down St. Stephen, go down into Maine even. So like US so yeah, for New Brunswick being a province that, people still travel freely through the rest of the provinces. You don't have the benefit of being an island that you can isolate, right? But I think, yeah, like I say, I think the people did a great job in this province. And like I say, in addition, probably a little extra help from the fact of the way most people live in this province too, right? And even the big cities aren't really that big. Strathmore, 4 to 6 elderly die every week. Wow, geez. From 60 to 86 years, 40% are in their 60s, not COVID. Yeah, it's a shame what's happening to a lot of the older people. And like I say, like I've said so many other times too, the fact that they're in these facilities and quite vulnerable. Like I say, that's where we need to be doing our best. Like these are the areas that, like, if you want to be a little more strict in your lockdowns or quarantine and going above and beyond in terms of making sure these people are safe and you're, cleaning and wearing masks and all this stuff. It is in those facilities. It is in those long-term healthcare facilities or those senior homes. That's where it really needs to happen and take place. But as we've seen, some of those institutions aren't doing a very good job after all. Yeah, and we're on the Quebec border too. Yeah. Went to Costco yesterday for first time since CCP virus. Felt it was in Nazi Germany movie. Orders bark, stand here, move there, stand on this yellow square. No, stand on that one, stand 6 feet apart. Yeah, I know it's crazy. It is crazy. And be strong. Hashtag and be strong. Right on. Okay. It's all a scam. Oh, Kawasaki or Triumph. If I had the choice between the two, I'm a big fan of the Kawasaki, the Japanese bikes. Love the Japanese bikes. Well, especially the Kawasaki. They haven't always been able to get it all together for their bikes, in terms of performance, handling, lightweight. But when it comes to their engines, like even though, like I mentioned, I'm a Honda guy, if it comes to a street bike, see, that's the thing. I'm not a dogmatist in anything, so it's like whatever, depends on the application. For like the sport ATVs, like I say, I'm definitely a fan of the Honda 450R as opposed to the rest. And I'm not cutting on the other ones. They all make some pretty great machines. But when it comes to the street bikes, actually, I'm a Ninja guy. I love the Ninjas. Actually, the ZX10 and the ZX10 for multiple years has been like the fastest thing on. And the new ZX, what's the name of that new ZX10, the 1000 they get out there? Now, of course, they have the ZZR, the 1400, right, which is the fastest one on the planet in terms of, or I should say the biggest one, because yeah, actually you can get the ZX10 to really hum. But what's that new one that the Cowie's got out? I forget, the HN. Damn, it's been a while, folks. Sorry. Like I say, well, I've been out of this stuff for so many years now because of everything that happened to me. Basically, I had to sell off all my toys, and while my wheeler got stolen, I did get it back, but in a gazillion pieces. But anyways, putting all that aside, like I say, I'm a big fan of the Kawasaki, and like I say, if I was to go out to buy a new bike today, it would be the Kawasaki, probably the ZX10. Nothing against the Triumph and all. Nice machines. There's some really sweet machines. Like I'll even say, when it comes to like fit, finish, quality, and amazing, like all around performance characteristics, you can't go wrong with a Ducati either, right? So that beautiful Italian engineering, and it's beautiful stuff. But like I say, I've always been a fan of the Kawasaki's. Plus, I love the color, especially there's some pretty cool colors they come out with. Like they had a nice orange ZX10 there one year or a couple of years. But I still like the green Kawasaki look. And actually, I have had Kawasaki's in the past, street bikes. Anyways, beyond the bikes. But I love talking about that stuff as well. You mean culture Marxist liberal government? Yes, government. Yeah, Trudeau, reek of C. Yeah. Okay. Oh, what's this one? Had a Cowie H2 750 triple two-stroke. The Widowmaker. Yes. They were pretty wild machines, no doubt about it. Actually, that's the thing. If I had another channel, I'd love to get into start talking. Maybe I should someday start that. Probably be more rewarding. Probably get a lot more people be joining the stream if I talked about stuff that wasn't so serious, right? Because yeah, like I say, when it comes to knowledge, like obviously I want to make sure I'm quite knowledgeable on the philosophy of liberty and what all that entails. But when it comes to, my breadth of knowledge is when you're talking about machines, that was kind of always my wheelhouse. And like I said, I definitely have to catch up on some things now because it's been a while, but I love talking about those kinds of things. Another pretty unique bike too. And when I think about for a bike, but not super or overly fast, but the RD or RZ, the two different iterations of what the Banshee engine come from. That's quite the two-stroke. Now it's quite smaller. It's only 350cc, right? Well, couldn't you get the RD or RZ in a 400, I believe, as well? But basically, it's the reason why they call it the Banshee, the screaming two-stroke. It's quite the sounding machine once you get it wound out there, up around 9,000 or so. But anyways, back to what was I going to cover here? Oh yeah, there was this article out of We Can't Trust Governments to Manage a Pandemic that I thought was pretty interesting. So let me just read a little bit from that one. This is from the American Institute for Economic Research. I believe, Jeffrey Tucker, I believe, is one of the contributors to this. Anyways, he's a libertarian out of the U.S. And this obviously AEI is definitely more libertarian, or even probably possibly lean towards like objectivists and stuff in terms of the kind of people that would be contributors to this Institute for Research. And this one is David S. D'Amato, April 26, 2020. And the headline was obviously, We Can't Trust Governments to Manage a Pandemic. We might think of this as the 21st century's greatest experiment in groupthink, and is about to erupt in a public scandal. At least it should. The past several weeks have been a test of our preparedness, not our preparedness for a viral pandemic, but for a massive power grab, for a dangerous, creeping authoritarianism. We have shown ourselves to be woefully unprepared, confounded by a dizzying array of sensationalized horror stories in the news. Yeah, I wouldn't say we per se, but yes, definitely. That's the thing. I don't think in that collective sense very much, but I get where he's going with that. Already, we have witnessed the excesses and abuses associated with such authoritarianism. Police officers emboldened to harass and even attack innocent people under the pretext of enforcing the lockdown orders. We've seen heightened surveillance, warrantless searches of private homes and gatherings, threats to churchgoers. Yeah, see, this is in America, but same things. As I'm reading this, same things happen here in this country too, right? Especially the threats to churchgoers and the clergy. Like, come on. I mean, look, the guy up there in Almer, Ontario, right? Trying to hold a church service, and they're doing everything possible, making sure everybody stays in the car, and they're tuning into the radio station, and they're still being harassed by the local Gestapo, right? Unbelievable. Property owners deprived of the use and enjoyment of their own homes. Well, that what was the article came out of the National Post yesterday? Cottage country. Are you looking for a civil war or something like don't start a civil war or something like that? The cottage country folks up there in Ontario, which I know, like, it's been that way forever. I know when my parents moved me up to Ontario from New Brunswick when I was still, 11 or 12 years old, almost everyone that I knew in the building that we moved into that lived in Ontario and lived there for a long period of time had a cottage or a trailer up north somewhere. They had either their house or their apartment. In particular, where I lived, it was apartments. But a lot of people in Ontario have a secondary house or a secondary piece of property, and it's usually in the form of a cottage or a trailer in a park somewhere in cottage country. So it's very much it's as normal as breathing in Ontario for these people to head to cottage country at the end of the week of dealing with that traffic in the GTA. Right, that's their form of escape. And now, as we're seeing out there, and I was watching some reports where even these people that control these parks are saying they're not even allowing people that own their own properties in there. You're not allowed to come in. You're not even allowed to go to your own property. And people were saying, but wait a minute, my little cottage is nice and isolated. I won't be near anybody. Matter of fact, I'm going to be much further away from anybody on my property up in the cottage than I would be if I was in my townhouse or condo or my house in the GTA somewhere. But once again, these order followers, well, the one I was watching actually, I think it was on TVO, Steve Bacon, TVO, The Agenda. But at least they were saying that they're not going to, they were repeating the official talking points from government saying, I know these are the rules, but they were basically alluding to that, no, they're not going to enforce them. They're not going to tell all these people, all these Ontarians that, no, I'm not allowing you to go to your property, right? And actually, the reason why that is because some of the people that were calling up were saying, oh, well, even if you try to stop me, oh, you won't let me take my, like, their motorized boat to get to whatever their island or wherever their cottage is. Oh, I'll just take a canoe up there, which is going to put them in a more precarious situation. If they got a canoe in some of these waters that I guess they were saying can even get the little choppy and a little rough in the, if it's windy or whatever. But basically the people in Ontario were saying, no, we're going to our property. We're going to our cottages, whether you like it or not. And some of these people that are facilitating the lockdown are saying, well, hey, if they come here, I'm not stopping them, which is good. That's what needs to take place. People need to be willing to show that, no, I'm not going to follow orders. Like I say, there are those out there, especially those, in law enforcement, who are going to be the order followers. But hey, that doesn't mean that you have to do so either, right? That's the thing. If you're not one of these mindless order followers, just because the government tells you to do something, use your mind, use your intellect, use your own thought process and think, should I do this? Am I actually causing more harm than I am good? And if you are, which you most definitely are, if you're following through on these ridiculous government mandates and edicts or orders to prevent people from going to their cottages, then yes, step back and you don't want to be remembered as that person, right, that prevented people from traveling freely, because that's going to carry off through you for the rest of your life. And it's not going to garner you a whole lot of respect from your fellow Ontarians after all this finally subsides, right? And brutal arrests absent any cause, all premised on the idea that the American people are hapless children to be strained by those who know better, right? Oh, the nanny state. these fucking, like I say, to me, and as a guy, I'd rather the most brutal authoritarian piece of shit come at me and try to like knock me out cold than these oppressive nanny state fucks that they're not as brutal in their violence, but the threat's always there. The threat's always implied. But like I say, they don't even come at you with that harsh kind of a threat. It's more of a, oh, I'm doing this for your own good. But the threat is still there that if you don't fucking do what I say, then the violence is going to come. But the fact that they don't even have the willingness to show their evil tendencies or side, but they try to pretend that, oh, I'm doing this for your own good. Oh, yeah, the nanny state drives me crazy. Like I say, I'd rather go up against, some menacing tyrant and his hordes of order followers than some of these dipshits that say, oh, I'm only doing it to protect you from yourself or for the greater good, right? Like, God, these people are sickening. Busybodies. How about you worry about you and your peeps that you're worried about? How about you worry about, I'll worry about me and the ones I care. You do that, and then we'll be the very best. Mind your business, right? Mind your business, right? Whatever happened to that? We want desperately to believe that the experts in fact know better than we do. Well, you might. I don't want desperately to believe that because I've heard what they said. If that's more knowledgeable, then it's like, oh, but no, I get where he's going with this anyways. That they're acting altruistically without attention to their own interests and that their remedies will affect the desired outcomes with no unintended consequences. Yeah. And rainbows and unicorns exist. Committed to the means, putting the cart before the horse, as it were, lockdown advocates are guilty of an especially lazy appeal to ideal institutional theory. That is, they are pretending that we can, from the armchair, right, wish or pretend away the observed reality of police behavior, that enforcement of this policy will be different, an assumption for which they give no reason. Police misconduct is the product of a system of incentives, which is itself the product of power relations and baneful imbalances thereof. The lockdowns have aggravated those powerful imbalances, given police officers even more opportunities to harass and brutalize peaceful Americans. That's the problem with all these new rules, laws, regulations, mandates, edicts. All you're doing is giving these order followers or enforcers the ability to, like I say, and because they can selectively choose when they impose these fines or when they enforce these orders or when they follow through with these orders, because it's all selective enforcement, you've basically given police these days the ability to just pick and choose whoever the hell they want to fuck with anytime, anywhere, anyhow they please. What a terrible, terrible thing to do to a citizenry, to place them under such a situation or circumstance where you got these little petty tyrants or these petty thugs run around with so much power and their political authority, basically, like I say, give them that kind of power and then just turn their back and let them just run free with it. Like I say, it's like letting kids run. It's like little children run around with fucking sharp knives all day, and there's no parents or there's no adults in the room at all. It's like, that's reckless and extremely irresponsible. But at least that would be in one household. We're talking this happens every day across the entire country because these police now have this much power and they are trained basically to escalate tensions, right? To escalate the threats rather than to de-escalate, because the very name that they're even given these days, law enforcement, right? That's not about keeping the peace. If you actually called them peace officers, when they looked on their patches on their arm and it said peace officer, they would have a different mentality about what their job and duty in society is. You call them police or enforcement officers or the law enforcement branch of government, then, they're going to be enforcing the laws. Why? Because you've psychologically put that in their mind. And then once again, constantly using the media to pose the Canadian citizens that don't follow every stupid, ridiculous order, mandate, or edict that's out there to paint them out and say, oh, these are lawbreakers, right? Well, there's the order followers or the law enforcement. They're going to step up and they're going to enforce those laws, right? And that's what they're doing. And what are they doing? Well, like I say, they're causing a lot of harm to a lot of people. And it's not just the economic harm, but what it's doing to the Canadian people's psychology to realize that, well, I wasn't doing anything wrong. Why you treat me like garbage? But like I said in my past streams, at the very least, by having these kind of cots, these petty thugs out there doing their little ticketing campaign and harassing, decent Canadian citizens out there, well, it's turning each one of them that they've done so probably will eventually at some point in time turn out to be a libertarian. So good for that. If it wasn't one before, and of course it was, the United States of America is now beyond any doubt an authoritarian police state founded upon the fear-mongering and faulty information of bullies in government. Yep. And don't forget about their media mouthpieces. A new study out of Stanford University further undermines the case for the far-reaching and excessive lockdown policies thrust upon the American people. As the first large-scale community-based prevalence study in a major U.S. county completed during the coronavirus pandemic, the study's estimate represents the best available current evidence. And its results suggest that the infected rate is much more widespread than indicated by the number of confirmed cases, 50 to 85 times more widespread, in fact. An estimate of the infection and fatality rate using the results of the study puts it at 0.01 to 0.02 to 0.02%, approximately the same as IFR as the flu. The most important implication of these findings, the author notes, is that the number of infections is much greater than the reported number of cases. While this should have been glaringly obvious to any interested observer, the despotic policy reactions to the pandemic were based on the worst, most hyperbolic interpretations of available information. So yeah, that's well, we've seen that, like I say, that happened even in Canada too. They basically use, like with these modeling, right, that they're doing for a response, is they model them, and what do they respond to? What's the worst case scenario? Like I say, I kind of, I can hear how people can, and I can understand how people can make that. Well, you might want to overreact, as a way to, to be more safe. I'd rather overreact and be able to recognize that the people are safe than to underreact and have all this detriment fallout happen. But as we've seen, that, after the first couple of weeks or so, and we've seen how it's actually been unfolding. Well, that should have been about the time it's like, okay, we don't have to go into this complete lockdown, these very authoritarian restrictive measures, because listen, things are going fine so far. So let's err on the side of loosening up these restrictions, because so far things are turning out A-okay, right? And as we're seeing, they have turned out to be A-okay in most countries. Even countries like Italy is now, I believe what they're reporting now, starting to see their cases starting to dwindle, and the death rates or the deaths are starting to get much smaller and smaller in number. So it looks like basically everywhere around the world, or at least the developed world, basically, for the most part, prevented anything that would have come even close to overwhelming the healthcare facilities or the healthcare institution or the healthcare providers. So like I say, this is ideal time to start opening up and giving people back their freedoms. But like I say, that will happen. They will start to unwind things, but what they're going to do is they're going to maintain a lot of these aspects that they brought into. So contact tracing, right? Oh yeah, we'll let you go out and walk around. Why? So oh yeah, well, we want you to walk around so we can monitor and track you wherever the hell you go, right? So, like I say, that's my biggest concern at this point in time, because they do recognize that they're going to have to let people out of their house eventually. They know that. But and they've been saying this so many times too, but it's not going to be the world that you knew before COVID-19 is not going to be the same world as after. Oh, really? What's going to change? Yeah, like I say, lots more surveillance, a lot more monitoring of people's private communications, a lot more tracking, tracing, right? Are we going to have such thing as a mandatory vaccine come to fruition? Like I say, you got some of the hacks in the media that are talking about that quite regularly these days, where there's going to have to be a vaccine, and in order to get anything remotely resembling herd immunity, they're going to have to mandate. You're going to have basically almost 100% of the population to get it, right? And the way they go on with that stuff. So, like I said, there's still a lot of unknowns, and to see how this is all going to play out. But this is the important part, is to talk about this stuff. I mean, this was actually talked about and discussed. Anyways, I'll share a link. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But this was on the 26th. But this actually should have been started to be talked about maybe even a month prior to that. But at least, like I say, at least people are starting to bring up the very real fact that government has definitely overreached, and we need to be fearful and concerned with what they're going to be doing with that, even after the COVID-19 starts to subdue. Because even, think about it, even after Edward Snowden revelations, did the governments all retract and stop spying on us? No. So even with that, they still feel emboldened to overreach. And why wouldn't they? Most people are just like, yeah, go ahead. I'm not going to stand up for myself. Most people in Canada in particular aren't going to stand up for the liberties. So the political class, the media class, and the enforcer class are like, well, nobody's standing up for it. So I guess they must accept it. And then you got pollsters out there that are doing their little 1,000 people or 2,000 people sampling, which is basically suggesting that, oh, no, oh, the Canadian people, oh, yeah, they like how the governments are handling it, right? So basically the messaging that I'm hearing time and time again is that, no, we all seemingly like being treated like children by our authoritarian mommy and daddy and government, right? And being manipulated constantly by the media mouthpieces. So, like I say, and what are Canadians doing? Basically saying, yep, I'm good with that. I don't know. It's fucked up, folks. Fucked up. That's why, like I say so many times, that's why I just don't have this thing like this pride in Canada. Because, like, I don't know. You might be able to get some nationalism out of me someday if there was actually something to really be genuinely proud about in this country. But as of late, not a whole lot, other than the fine folks that come and watch my stream that care about this stuff as well. Not much else, unfortunately, to be too proud about as a Canadian these days. But the most of them never get arrested. Law enforcement is directed by the Solicitor General of the province. Yeah, just say up yours. What's up? Well, that's the thing that. Wait, what's this? We pay tax to these politicians that put us under house arrest. Yeah, well, no, we don't pay taxes. Betrayed 1914. They take taxes. I've never willingly paid them. I've been forced to pay them, but I would never choose to. Just like if a thief came up with a gun or implied threat, even if he didn't show the gun, but he had the implied threat and had it stuck in my ribs or whatever, and there wasn't much I could do. Let's say I had a wife with me stuff. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to let him take my wallet for now, right? Not like I would have done it. Hey, I might have even handed it to him rather than reach into my pocket, but it wouldn't be the fact that I voluntarily chose that. It'd be because they threatened. There was a potential threat of force, right? So that's how government works. They don't actually have to pull out the gun, but it's implied. The threat is always implied, right? But yeah, we don't pay taxes. Taxation is theft, by the way. Hashtag taxation is theft. Yeah, no, common sense isn't very common, unfortunately. I wish it was. Okay, let's see what else we got here. The dumbing down of society, betrayed. Just say, okay. Okay, going back, see what else we got here. Yeah, I might as well close that one up. Oh, yeah, there was this one, folks. Do you see this? I don't think I covered this in my last stream, right? I hope not. Actually, no, I think I did. Anyways, yeah, sorry, I already covered this, but yeah, BC father dies after life-saving kidney surgery canceled due to coronavirus. The hospital canceled the procedure one day before the surgery was supposed to take place, citing it as a non-essential surgery. Or did I? I don't know. Anyways, I might as well just cover it real quick here now. So it's True North Wire, May 5th, 2020. Actually, no, maybe I didn't. No, maybe I didn't cover this one. But yeah, it's a sad story, obviously. Like BC father died. And I mean, they canceled the procedure one day before the surgery was supposed to take place and citing it as non-essential. Well, if the man died, sounds like it was probably essential. A Surrey, BC father, which tells me that there's going to be a lawsuit taking place as well, right? Surrey, BC father died after hospital cancels potentially life-saving kidney surgery because of the coronavirus pandemic. The hospital canceled the procedure on March 16th, one day before the surgery was supposed to take place, citing it as non-essential surgery. I called the hospital and asked why. They said non-essential surgeries are being canceled. Said Wallcroft's wife, Delia Oliveira. I'm sure I'm not the only one this has happened to, and I'm probably not the only one that is going to happen to. I'm worried that the hospitals are bare and the focus is on COVID-19 and life goes on. People are sick with other stuff as well. On April 5th, Walcroft was supposed to see a specialist and potentially reschedule the procedure, but he never had the chance to since he died on that day. Sad, right? In Ontario, the University Health Network estimated last week that around 35 people died in the province from cardiac issues due to canceled or delayed procedures. I understand that a report has been released today by UHN with respect to cardiac deaths and has been estimated that approximately 35 people may have passed away because their surgeries were not performed, said Ontario Minister of Health Christine Elliott during a daily coronavirus briefing. Anyway, so like I say, folks, I'll share a link to this in the description as well. I mean, so that gentleman and 35 more at the very least, and based on just on those particular kind of health issues. I mean, how many, and that in one province too, but how many others in this country are going to succumb because of the fact that they're now not being able to have their surgeries because of this COVID-19. And like I said, I'm not hearing about these hospitals being so overwhelmed that this person, that choice had to be truly made, where this person had to succumb and lose their life as a consequence for that. So like I said, I don't know. Sounds pretty crazy shit, but there's another article I wanted to cover here too, because we've all been hearing about the fines, right? Lots of fines being handed out there to people for the most ridiculous shit, basically doing nothing. They're not doing anything wrong other than trying to get a little fresh air, get outside, and maybe take your dog for a walk or stuff like that. But just how many tickets have been handed out? Well, according to this article from Global News, so far, and this was as of May 4th, 2020, reported by Jane Gertster, Canadians have racked up $5.8 million in coronavirus fines, report says. Wow. So almost $6 million in fines already since they've started doing this shit. And like I say, who's to say that there's not more that's going to come to light? I would suspect as much. The number of Canadians who've received tickets or been charged as part of COVID-19 enforcement has topped 4,500 per a new report from Policing the Pandemic. The bill, $5.8 million and counting. We were shocked, said Alex Luscombe, a PhD student in criminology at the University of Toronto and co-creator of Policing the Pandemic, a mapping project launched a month ago to track the ways in which COVID-19 orders are being enforced nationwide. Since early April, physical distance enforcement blitzes have prompted people to go public with stories of receiving tickets for playing basketball, standing in a park, or walking their dogs. Academics, criminologists, and human rights organizations have sounded the alarm over the impact on people's rights and freedoms while questioning whether fines actually serve as a deterrent. Actually, you know what? Now that since they brought up the civil liberties groups, there's two in this country, as far as I know. There's the BC Civil Liberties Organization or Association, and then there's the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, the CLLA. And I got to tell you, I mean, at least they're doing their thing. But anytime I ever hear anyone that's a representative or a lawyer for those organizations, like if you got people out there that are supposed to be like defending your civil liberties, which should be obviously libertarians, if that's their goal in life is to defend civil liberties or take the libertarian stance on social or economic issues in regards to liberties, then shouldn't you at least have some people that have, like, I'm not saying that they got to be like intimidating or Hulk-like in appearance, but damn, these people, they're so soft-spoken. I imagine them in the courtrooms. Like, what do? You just get up there and beg the judge, geez, Your Honor, would you really please give me my freedoms, or would you allow my client to have just a little bit of freedom? It would be really appreciated. But if you don't, well, I understand if it would be an inconvenience. So, hey, at least I could say, well, I stood up for his liberties. Like, if that's what we have on offer, these people that represent these civil liberties associations, if that's the best of what we got in Canada, then no wonder, they're failing miserably at actually defending Canadians' liberties. Because I know if I was in government or any of these authoritarians or petty tyrants or thugs, and I listen to some of these dipshits, these very soft, meek, and weak people in these civil liberties associations, be like, yeah, I got to worry about these people. Look at them. if you just probably knock them over, right? Or just raise your voice once and they probably go, where'd they go? Oh, they tuck their tails between their legs and they're going, oh, look, they're hiding in the corner somewhere, right? I don't know. Like I say, weak. There's like I say, even the people that should be in these positions, like, why so weak? And if anyone knows anything, I should actually give them a call on these days. I'm not a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, but don't you think you need someone like me in there to be, hey, you can do the lawyer legalese bullshit, but shouldn't you have someone in there that when it comes to dealing with like the PR or talking with public relations or talking with the media, shouldn't you have someone that's a little bit forceful and a little bit more blatant and honest and forthright in terms of what standing in defense of liberties means? Because like I say, the way they do it, it still keeps the Canadian. When I listen to them, it's like they're not explaining anything. They're not explaining anything in regards to what it even means to be a free human being. Even when a lot of times they'll just repeat government talking points or policy positions or stance and not even barely push back against. It's like, well, it is the law, but it's like I say, just too weak. Anyways, I know I went on a little bit of a tirade there. I'm sorry, but yeah, the Civil Liberties Association in this country, they're pathetic and they're weak, very weak. They need to get some people in there with some some courage, right? Some oomph. I don't know, something's got to like light the fire under these places, because they're like I say, they're failing Canadians miserably. And look at they take a substantial portion of money. I don't even tell you the truth. I should try to figure that. How are these civil liberties associations even funded? Because whoever's paying for them is getting ripped the fuck off. If we as Canadians, are we forced to pay for them? Because if we are, it's like, well, then you better do a goddamn job because I'm paying for it. You better do a damn decent job, right? But they're not. To me, it's like, put them all on the back burner. Allow me to step up. Like I say, throw someone into the spotlight that has some fucking courage, right? Some fortitude, some testicular fortitude, as Gad said, let's say, right? Okay, at least thrust someone in the spotlight for these organizations that has the wherewithal and the willingness and the at least abrasiveness to push back against these political hacks or the media mouthpieces in a way that they really need to do so, to at least show, like I say, you don't have to bite them or nothing, but can you at least show your teeth? Like, like, come on. But no, weak. Anyways, let me read a little bit more here, right? I already got that part. Yeah. And while Luscombe says some earlier concerns over Ontario and Quebec style enforcement being adopted by other provinces hasn't materialized, the fact that the total fine tally is approaching 6 million is staggering. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's clearly adding up. Luscombe says, at a time when people are being laid off, struggling to make rent and buy groceries, and need to be doing everything they can to prepare to survive this indefinitely, I don't see how adding a $900 or $2,000 fine is going to help. Yeah, exactly. Like I say, $6 million in fines handed out. Like I say, these little petty thugs and tyrants and order followers, they don't care. They're doing what they told, and they don't care how many people they harm along the way. Long as they satisfy what other political masters or their higher ups ask of them. He just pledged it to WHO. The same bastards produced this fake PM is criminal. Okay, let's see who else. Anyone else join the stream? No. Oh, wait, now we do got Bruce Whiteman in here, I believe. Here, where'd that go? What's this? Hollandaise. I feel you. It used to be Canadian Patriot. Have tattoo of a maple leaf, says made in Canada, like a brand. However, I'll never get rid. Remember what I love. What could be again. Yeah. I hear you, Hollandaise. Like I say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the hell is going on. Well, I mean, obviously demographics have changed. The culture of this country has changed. Complacency, compliance, conformity, all those things have definitely taken place. But I just can't help but believe deep down now, it's way deep down, but I can't help but believe that there's got to be something in the Canadian people. Like I say, how could they be willing to put up with this? There's got to be something in them. It's just, I don't know how it's not been stirred as of yet. I guess I don't know, but that's the thing. When I even try to make the excuse, I guess they just haven't gone through difficult enough times. But that's the problem, right? A lot of people have, right? Just because they haven't, just because that's the problem. The majority of people aren't going through nearly as hard of times as you can rest assured. I'm a very small, tiny minority of people. So they look at, as long as I'm doing better than someone else, right? It's that race to the bottom. We're all close to the bottom, even the ones that think they're at the top in comparison to others. You're all still way down there in the subterranean portions of the caverns. But like, it's because there's still a little bit of hierarchy. Everyone doesn't realize that they're still measuring and gauging, like, oh, I'm still doing better than my neighbor. But it's like, yeah, but you and your neighbor, have you not realized for the last 10 years you've all basically now sunk down into a subterranean cavern where it looks like you might never be able to escape from, but you're still battling amongst each other over, or who's got the newest Beamer parked in their driveway? Like, what the hell? Like, at some point in time, you got to start focusing on the thing that matters most. Is if you look up, right? Look up. Oh shit! Yeah, I didn't realize we were down this far. Well, yeah, because you got to look up once in a while, right? Maybe turn off your stupid television cable networks that you watch 24 hours a day, and maybe turn on some people on social media, maybe people like myself, that'll give you some information to inspire you to actually think more vigorously about what it is to be a free human being. I don't know. Just a thought. I like this name. Where's our House of Commons? Liberty. Give me liberty or give me death. Where's our House of Commons? I don't know. They're on holiday, right? They're on holiday. That's probably something they would probably like to keep it going still, where they don't even have to show up to the House of Commons. They can all just sit and do it in Skype format or Zoom or something. Or now they don't even have to show up to the Parliament. They could just pass orders while they're sitting in their house, right? Or pass laws and regulations. I don't know. They don't need. Praying's always good, Missy. Right on. I like to throw a prayer once in a while myself. Anyways, let me see what else we got here. Oh, did you hear this, folks? I listened to this. Let me share it. There's not really much to see, but I'll just show you the headline for it, because it's actually audio from. I don't think I covered this one, right? No, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure I didn't. But it's sort of CBC, so it's cbc.ca/player/play. Like I say, it'll be in the description of this stream. And it's 22 minutes, 39 seconds long. Too big to fail. COVID-19 in Canadian real estate. Could the wealth conjuring machine that is Canada's real estate grind to a halt after the COVID-19 crisis exposed its worst weaknesses? That's the concern. Many who watch a sector that makes up a bigger part of the Canadian economy than oil and gas. Today on Front Burner, Bloomberg News Vancouver Bureau Chief Natalie Obico-Pearson returns to explain how real estate became such a significant part of the Canadian economy, how Canadians went deeply into debt, and why now the housing market in Canada could be too big to fail. And you know what that means? Too big to fail means that, yeah, in addition to all these bailouts for I mean, come on, bailout seems to be like every time I turn around, there's a new bailout where they're forcing taxpayers or the unborn, right, successive generations to bail out these failing, whether it's the media organizations or major corporations like Bombardier, or I mean, we've heard it so many times before, right? Or the airline industry. I mean, just constantly using taxpayers, like just sponging off of taxpayers constantly. Or like I say, not even taxpayers, the unborn, because nobody's paying for this shit as of yet, right? Are you seeing the debts and deficits being paid down? Nobody's paying for it. So basically the unborn, they're enslaving the unborn and future and successive generations to bail out all these major, huge corporations, right? And now they're basically putting it out front and center that, well, too big to fail. Not just one, but the entire housing market in this country. Why? Because like I've explained so many times in my past videos, and like I've covered the housing market so extensively, not in a while, maybe I should cover that and again, but I'll just kind of touch down on a little bit there now. It's not just the foreigners that are coming here and buying up housing, but it's even boomers. And well, I guess even some Gen Xers that get into the housing market earlier too. But especially a lot of, well, obviously be the older demographics, but they've been using their houses basically like as if it's a winning lottery ticket that just keeps winning week after week, month after month, or year after year, right? So their house keeps gaining by this speculative wealth, and then they're born against that house because, well, the bank will lend you money as, if your house is now worth $1 million, well, you got a lot of supposedly disposable income if you sell that house. Of course, you have to actually sell the house to see that disposable income, which is when the crash will truly start taking place, is when people fully start getting away from their homes. But that's the thing. Now they're trying to do it so that even if the boomers do finally sell their house, go off in retirement, well, they're trying to bring in foreigners and immigrants to make sure that that housing market is sustained. But if they can't do it through mass immigration or all the other Ponzi schemes or central planning type of initiatives that they've used on offer to keep what is now, like I say, basically the largest contributing to the GDP in this country, even higher than oil and gas. Think about it. Just people buying a house, right, or flipping houses is now contributes more to the GDP in this country than basically almost anything else. But what they're saying now is if they can't keep that Ponzi scheme humming along, and they see it starting to crash in any way or starting to deplete in terms of the speculative value of these houses, well, they'll prop it up another way. And what they're saying, what's the next thing they got on offer? Too big to fail, which means bailing everybody. Well, the banksters, once again, and the banksters were already bailed out. For those of you who watch my videos regularly or are familiar with my channel or my social media pages, and I still have it pinned on my Next Gen News and Views page, or is it on my Canadian Libertarian one? Canada we were already forced to bail out all 6 banks in this country, although most people in Canada don't know because the media reported on it one time, never talked about it again. But now we're basically being told that, no, too big to fail. Well, maybe all the banks, maybe all the, I don't know how many millions of people in Canada have a mortgage, but what are we going to bail everybody out? Like, I paid off my fucking mortgage. I worked hard. And matter of fact, instead of doing monthly payments, I did bi-weekly payments so I could pay my mortgage off quicker. We made extra payments. When the interest rates went down over the term of our mortgage, rather than getting a cheaper rate or a monthly payment, I kept the rate or the monthly payment high so that I could shrink the amortization time frame and pay off so I was responsible to pay off my house. But I guess the people that are reckless or irresponsible or buying way outside their means, what this is article suggesting, what you going to bail them out? Like I say, rewarding reckless spending and behavior and habits, while at the same time punishing people like myself, because I get nothing. I get nothing. Other people get a fucking free house, or the banks get the house, right? Kick the people out of the house if they can't afford to make their mortgage payments anymore. So they get to keep the house, plus they get to keep all the money that the people paid originally for the house. And then they get to sell the house again and make even more money. So like I said, just constantly, like just Ponzi scheme. But too big to fail is something that, like I say, be paying attention to, folks, because that's a huge, you want to talk about a bailout? If they bail out once again, that's going to be a massive bailout. And I hope that it doesn't come to fruition, although something tells me something cringy is going to happen where, once again, because how many times have we seen so far that the Trudeau Liberals are more than willing to reward the reckless and the irresponsible? Many times. So Frank Magazine has an excellent article on Wortman. Thanks for mentioning that. I'll have to check that out. Frank Magazine. I've heard of it. Anyways, folks, I'm probably, let me see here. Where are we at for time? 1:23. I'll probably try to tie this bad boy up within the hour and a half range. See what else I wanted to cover here. Oh, there was this one here. Yeah, I'm going to cover this article here, folks, because this is a good one out of the Foundation for Economic Education. They have some great contributors. A friend of mine, Brittany Hunter, is a contributor to this. She's an American. Anyways, actually, I have a few people that are contributors to FEE. I should be contributing myself. Anyway, so as you can see, Reopen Society Now, out of the Foundation for Economic Education. Every day on lockdown, we further destroy our economy, our sanity, and our liberty. This is reported Sunday, May the 3rd, 2020 by David Sukoff. A fundamental flaw of government is its inability to properly analyze trade-offs. The narrative of the COVID-19 lockdown is that it is a trade-off between saving lives and the economy. This is erroneous. The reality is a conflict between emotion against common sense, economics, and science. Lockdown logic began with flattening the curve. The argument was that COVID-19 spread much more easily than other viruses, that the lengthy incubation period exacerbated the spread, and that it is vastly deadlier than the common flu. Thus, we had to close schools and the economy and lock down society in order to spread out the number of inevitable cases and not overwhelm vital health care. That the lockdown persists counters the initial flatten the curve logic. Exactly, right? It's been flattened already. I mean, come on. It's flattened already, especially in Canada. So yeah, I agree. Persistent chatter of months upon months of lockdown cannot be reconciled with a flattening of the curve. Lockdown logic has transformed into simple emotion, coupled with a government inebriated on an unprecedented power grab. It demonstrates the worst of the universal government trade-off that permeates virtually every one of its decisions. The preference for short-term seen benefits against long-term unseen costs. Any tragic loss of life or potential loss attributed to COVID-19 is evidence to those in power that the lockdown must persist. This is emotional, short-sighted, and typical of government. The cost of the lockdown is unfortunately not all that unseen. Millions upon millions have lost their jobs. Businesses have shuttered. Freedom itself is under siege. The federal government has borrowed another $2 trillion on our behalf to haphazardly spray on the populace at its whim. And untold trillions more are to come. As Milton Friedman famously extolled, we're all Keynesians now. While flipping the switch and instantly reinvigorating the economy is likely impossible, it was a government-mandated off switch for the economy and daily life that caused this. Politicians have since framed their lockdowns as money versus lives. This is emblematically simplistic, and more importantly, it is wrong. Arguments could be made and have been made ad nauseum regarding how many deaths should be attributed to COVID-19 and how many more would be lost sans lockdown. And similarly, how to translate years of quality life to some dollar amount. But this leads down the wrong road. It is not a matter of X dollars for Y lives. In framing it that way, politicians tug on emotional heartstrings. Rather, it is X lives or Y lives or Z years, as in economic devastation translates to real-world toll on life expectancy, and quality of life. More importantly, though, the scientific evidence is mounting that it is not even how many lives would be lost in either scenario or quality of life. Rather, it is that the entire premise of a lockdown was the wrong approach to battling the virus. Thus, even if one entertained the faulty notion that it was X dollars per Y lives, the number of lives was way off. Right? It just goes, this is another example. I love how they bring the economics into it because it's another example where, government sucks at economics. That's just a reality. And why? Because they've never had to deal with the bottom line. When you can, there is no such thing as you run out of money, right? Because governments can just keep enslaving entire generations to pay for this stuff, right? So that's the thing. They can't make that kind of measurement or gauge. That's the beauty of the free market. That's the beauty of that invisible hand that Adam Smith coined all those many years ago, right? As recently as a few weeks prior to many of the nationwide lockdowns, the CDC released a report questioning the benefits of shutting schools for an extended period. Other studies presented a similar thought pattern. Partly this related to herd immunity, the concept that the larger percentage of a given population that has had a certain virus and thus developed an immunity to it, the lower the spread of that virus will be. Given the novelty of COVID-19, many key factors were unknown as the lockdown loomed. Primarily, it was the headline number, the mortality rate. This is merely the number of people dying from COVID-19 divided by the number of people infected with it. While a simple calculation, it is based on a proper understanding of the numerator and the denominator. What we have learned since is that both numbers have not been fully understood and have often been based on conjecture. The numerator has been questioned from the beginning. A larger percentage of deaths attributed to COVID-19 are also attributed to some other comorbidity. What has differentiated COVID-19 from other diseases is the lopsided impact of the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions. Those who have died from COVID-19 are highly likely to have also or instead died from at least one other cause. More recently, the denominator has been called into question because COVID-19 disproportionately impacts certain demographics. Discerning who actually was infected becomes precarious. Part of what makes COVID-19 more spreadable is also what makes it more difficult to calculate the denominator. Many contract the virus, but yet are asymptomatic. That is, many in our population have COVID-19 or have had it and never display any symptoms or display minor symptoms. This has been demonstrated in scientific studies of various populations where the number infected would cause the denominator to skyrocket and thus the COVID-19 morbidity rate to plummet. If we can extrapolate a vastly lower morbidity rate, the lockdown versus reopen trade-offs require quite a different analysis. Given that such a large number of people have contracted COVID-19 and demonstrated no symptoms, it is quite possible that the entire lockdown approach is logically inconsistent and is scientifically counterintuitive. It would make the Sweden model of locking down only those who are most at risk and keeping the remainder of society open the most obvious path. Every day on lockdown, we further destroy our economy, our sanity, and our liberty. And it is not a trade-off between money and lives or constitutional rights and emergency measures. Even those would be difficult for the government to evaluate and would engender a reasonable debate. No, today we are faced with a trade-off that pits emotion against rationality. There's no longer a robust scientific case to be made for continuing the lockdown, only an emotional appeal. The science, the economy, and liberty itself all clamor for us to #reopen now. So yeah, and I mean, I just can't help but think, and like, even me and my wife talk about this stuff, and I prefer to do this stuff with a lady, to be honest with you. So then somebody can't make me out to be a misogynist in any way, right? But come on, this has to be. I can't help but think. I used to think years ago, why was it constantly this thing where you got to keep women out of politics, right? Not allowed to vote, or try to keep. And why? Because let's just admit it, folks. A lot of times women can, most of the time, like not everyone, not all, the whole hashtag not all and all that stuff, but deal with things more emotional based, right? I mean, come on, we all know the irrational woman that just uses her emotion and never uses this. We all know that. It's quite representative. Entire, segments of comedy, right? I think every comedian has made the jokes along those lines. Why? Because it's very prevalent. It's just a normal stereotype. Just like I say, you can stereotype men, you can stereotype a lot of people. Why? Because the reason why those stereotypes stick is because, as a general rule, that can be observed by most people, and that's why it's funny when you hear the joke. That's why when you hear it said, you get that kind of, it's uncomfortable, but it's like, yeah, it's true, right? I mean, you can't, and when you think about the kind of people like feminism, ideologically driven, all about emotion, social justice warrior, identity politics, these are people that predominantly would have that kind of mindset that does have that more effeminate way of thinking, where it's all based on emotion, right? Rather than logic or reasoned argument or actual evidence based. And yourself, as much as I'm all for emotion, I wouldn't want to live in a world full of robots. So I'm very appreciative of, especially our the ladies' side of things that do bring emotion to the table, because like I say, some guys can take that extremely the wrong way and display no emotions at all, right? But I mean, come on, we can't have this thing constantly. That's what I mean. If you're going to go into politics, especially as a woman or a feminist, that's telling me already that you definitely want to bring, your emotions and that kind of bullshit and that kind of luggage to the table. And I'm not a fan of it. Like I say, especially when you're talking about things in terms of governance, right? This is something where you cannot, just like with science, you got to take your emotion out of that. There are some things that emotions are fine. But when you're talking about this kind of stuff, yes, you need to be able to take your emotions out of it when you're talking, especially when you're talking about how you deal with like laws, rules, regulations, or how society should interact and engage with each other under such a circumstance. Because yes, it's very easy to appeal to people's emotions and manipulate in that way. That's psychological, right? And people, men and women both, are very susceptible to that kind of psychological or emotional manipulation, which is why I think it's devastating. If men aren't allowed to use violence, right? To me, women's ability to use psychological or emotional manipulation is just as lethal and can be just as lethal as men's ability to use, physical violence. And actually, in reality, a lot of times women use that psychological and emotional manipulation to control the guy that uses the physical violence, right? So you get a politician, a female politician, let's say, or Trudeau, which is basically the same thing, a feminist politician, right? And he appeals to the mindless order followers, their emotions, but they use not just their emotion, but then they use that violence, like, the gun or the baton or the taser gun or all that, the actual physical violence, right? So in reality, there's physical violence maybe from the man or the woman, but there's lots of overlap there, as we've seen, especially for people that go into law enforcement. But you're using psychological or emotional manipulation that actually translates and converts into real physical threats of violence or force. And to me, like I say, both of them are contributing factors. Now, the end result of the person using force might be seen. If you only see that, you'd be like, oh, that person. But if they're using that physical force or threats thereof because of the psychological or emotional manipulation from a politician or someone in the media, well, where did the actual original cause come from in terms of how that whole thing played out, right? Well, it would start all the way back where the emotional and psychological manipulation took place first and foremost, right? So I get holding the guy or girl or whatever, but mostly guys that's going to use the physical violence to impose the mandates. But come on, let's at least get back and recognize that someone was supposedly in charge of this person in terms of political power or having the ability to manipulate their minds in terms of media manipulation. So we got to hold this kind of stuff to account because, like I say, for me, especially as a man, I know how to defend myself against men and physical violence. All of us men kind of understand that. We all accept that sometimes we'll win or lose because there's different levels in competence in terms of our physical prowess or our fighting skills or our ability to handle pain or stuff like that. But like I say, for men in particular, and it was Jordan Peterson talked about this too, but how do you deal with the female side of things when it's emotional and psychological manipulation, but you combine that emotional and psychological manipulation with the power of the state or the power to manipulate people's minds and then use the power of the state to not just propagate it by way of forced wealth and income redistribution or the CBC, right? But also to, like I say, use the state, which is a monopoly of force or violence, as a means to follow through with that emotional and psychological manipulation towards whoever they want that to be played out on, right? So there's that immediate physical threat, but there's also that emotional and psychological threat. To me, both are every bit as dangerous because they both lead to the same outcomes. Anyways, I know I kind of went in a little bit of a tirade there. Oh, that wasn't too bad, right? But that stuff, like, to me, but nobody even wants to have these kinds of discussions. And, to me, obviously, like, I don't mind talking about it, but I would, like I say, I would really like to have a lady sometimes sit down and have a discussion like this so I don't have to be, oh, what are you, misogynist? And obviously not. Like I say, the two favorite people in my life is my wife and my grandma, who just recently passed away. Two of the favorite people in my life were not just women, but ladies that I cared about tremendously. Well, still do, right? But it's really hard to have these kinds of discussions with people because emotions do get brought into this stuff, which is, like I say, it's really, how do we do this? How are we going to sit down and talk to each other as men and women both in this modern world? How are we going to break through with all this if we don't at least have the ability or the capacity to think critically about these issues and actually hammer out these discussions? Like I say, it has to take place. I'm more than willing to do that myself if someone else would be willing to join me. And let's just talk about some of the detriments of having a whole lot of women in this country. What is it? 71% of all people who work for government in some capacity are female. If you don't think that plays a huge role in the constant expansion of the state, like, come on, it does. But like I say, nobody wants to talk about this stuff. Anyways, Let me just move on past that. I see we got someone else new in there. What's going on, Dustin L? NS making a murderer 2.0. Yeah, making a murderer 2.0. See what else we got going on down here. What anyone else? We probably not too much in the chat here. It's pretty quiet today, it seems. Oh, I see Leo's in there. Actually, it's funny. I'm going to mention just for the hell of it. I usually I've watched a few of your streams and stuff there, Leo, by the way. And I think you're a pretty good guy. You know, I just gotta mention though, because it's just to get it off my chest, but your name being Leo, is that your name you were born with? Because man, I tell you, because I've always suspected, I'm just gonna lay it out there, because I've always suspected that there's dipshits in the government. Well, because like I say, go back years ago. I don't know, it was the first time, like probably 7, 8 years ago, the first time I reported it out of CTV. And even back then, they were talking about using government, you know, or police or CSIS, like as to fight, you know, misinformation on there, or to basically they put them as undercover agents out there to watch social media and look out for people that are bad. I've always known that, like, some of the people that I've even talked to in the past may very well people that are these goddamn, whether they're from CSIS, the RCMP, or some of these fucking spies that are watching what we're all doing on social media, make sure we're not saying anything wrong, not having wrong think or whatever. But I remember thinking, I know damn well there's probably a couple of them that I've had conversation with and actually might even consider friendly and stuff. And I thought, a lot of times they obviously they don't use their own names, right? They'll use the, you know, different things to kind of throw you off. But I remember thinking, Leo, what's that short for? The acronym. Law enforcement officer. So I'm not, and I don't know. I'm getting to the point where that's, like I said, I don't even know for sure, but I just know that. And the reason why is because a lot of you folks, well, not just Leo, but a few of the other folks, all seem to like talking about cops in the military, or just friends with cops and military or correctional officers. Is like, Jesus Christ, what is it with all these people that are into being enforcers of the state? Which is obviously, that alone, like if you're an enforcer of the state, and I'm not saying everyone is the worst ever that's ever been a cop, or especially military, definitely not the military, because I do believe some people in the military go into it with the proper reasoning. Although, once again, I don't even know how you can make that excuse anymore, because when the hell was the Canada ever threatened? I mean, I don't know. But anyways, but you still need a military, I guess. I would suggest not, but I don't know. This is me just thinking it loud. I don't know. Someone has to go above and beyond at this point in time. I tried for the longest time, and it just, what it is it bit me in the ass. I tried to be my normal me, just Bennett, like who I am. That's just basically who I am. And I just go with, I'm very trusting of people mostly. I do, until you've done something wrong to raise suspicion or cause concern. I'm usually a pretty trusting guy. Like I've been bitten for being that trusting. So now I'm not nearly as trusting. Now people actually have to work a little bit harder to gain my trust, because, like I say, I definitely know that kind of shit takes place out there. And being the kind of person I am, I don't know. Seems like if you didn't want to have someone undercover to be out there and see what's going on, then. But anyways, that's just me thinking out loud. So. Reverend Jim Jones. Add perpetual debt slaver. JSYU. Add perpetual debt slavery. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, freedom free for all. Yeah. I don't. They might pretend that they do, but we need to share all Canadian channels with fellow patriots in Canada. We need to all bring it together somehow. Maybe start a news channel and Discord server to fight for our country. Yeah, the problem is, though, Missy, I agree with you, but like I say, until a lot of those ones that are supposed to these, because we all, no one's wants to bring it up, but we kind of all know who channels we're all talking about here. But nope, like I said, I just don't trust anybody anymore. Like I say, too much bootlicking, too much fucking like kissing up to the fucking order followers' ass for me. And like I say, I want it to come together, but I am not going to fucking yield one iota to any of these fucking enforcers of the state, because I know where my position is at. My position is that where exactly you need to be in terms of defending liberty. But if you're, like I say, an order follower or an enforcer of the state, and you're still playing around in that game and you're still supporting them, then we're never coming together. Put it this way. 100%. This is one thing I will say with 100% certainty. People like myself, and there are a lot of us, like a lot. And actually, what it is, most people just don't. They won't come online. They won't do what I do. Most people that are like me don't do this shit. They're just doing their thing every day, right? I'm a bit of a rare bird. I am an exception to the rule for the most part. But like I say, for most people that are disenfranchised and just fucking can't stand the state and this kind of bullshit, they don't want to align with at all with the enforcers or the order followers. And to me, it's like, of course we can't. All of the liberties that have been taken away through all of our, even mine, all happened because of the order followers, the bootlickers, and the enforcers of the state doing exactly what they do and following them fucking orders. So like I say, I can't. How can I trust an order follower? I can't. You can't. They're a bunch of lying, petty tyrants and thugs who would fuck you over in a heartbeat if they could get the opportunity to do so. So I'm not sorry. If, like I say, if you keep appealing to military people or the police, then we're never coming together. We're never coming. You fucks do your thing and I'll do my thing, and other people can do their thing, and we'll remain divided for all of until things finally crash. And then we'll see who makes out when it all finally crashes. When everything's up in the air, then trust me, all this collectivism, it's going to be every man for himself, right? And like I say, I'll take my chances regardless. But I am not ever, and I'm just saying this, I'm never going to be the kind of one that's going to conform to any order followers or status. No, you have to, if you want to challenge or counter big government, then you have to meet me outside of the purview of supporting that kind of shit in any way. Because if you support it in any way, then I know I can't trust you. And I am not aligning with or showing solidarity with people that are untrustworthy or status. Not happening. So you're going to have to either learn to repent, learn to shake off your indoctrination, stop, like I say, stop licking them boots, and then we'll be fine. That's it. All you got to do is stop licking your boots and we can come together. But as long as you're going to keep licking boots and supporting order followers, then yeah, it's not ever going to happen. Never going to happen. Not for me anyways. Whatever you folks do, you do your thing. Genetically speaking, most women shouldn't be allowed to vote or be leaders of countries except Germany, Scott. Genetically speaking. Well, no, but to me, you wouldn't even have to play that down. Like, to me, there's always solutions to these problems without even getting into the whole sex thing. Make government so tiny to the point where it's almost non-existent. It wouldn't matter if there was a man or a woman in there, that they have no power. Because like I say, if the Canadian citizens have the mindset, and it's established based on, if you had a real fucking constitution like the US or something, where it was established and you had a culture of Canadians that were the leaders of the culture in this country, that were constantly telling Canadians how important it is to stand in defense of their freedoms and liberties, then and we shrunk the size and scope of government and limited the powers of government to the point where it's like basically like, okay, it's like a kid with a fucking, I don't know, a squirt gun in a sandbox. Like, okay, don't worry, let him. Hey, even if he squeezes the trigger, at worst case scenario, you might get a little wet. Not going to get hurt. They can't do anything to you, right? Well, that's, like I say, if we get to that point where government is that small and that contained, then I don't care if they're man or woman. And actually, that's a better way than trying to pick whether men or women should go. So that's the problem, right? It should never come down to picking one person or one group over another. Like I say, the way you do this is you limit the size and scope of government to the point where it wouldn't matter if you had a man or a woman in there, because they don't have enough power to fuck with you the way they do now. The reason why people are constantly clamoring for getting new politicians and overturning the other government, getting a new guy in, and we got to do anything but liberals or anything but conservatives, is because they recognize how much power every time a politician gains a power, whether it's the premiers or the mayors or the federal parties, they know how much power is at their disposal once they've gained that kind of power or won the election. That's why everyone's so fearful of whoever the other is, right? Is they know the kind of power that's going to be in the hands of the other. To me, it's like eliminate that ability and then we can all get along peacefully, right? Because then we don't have to constantly be looking over our shoulders or having to worry about how much power you're going to use against me politically or how much power I'm going to use against you politically. Take away that power entirely, then we don't have to be overly concerned with each other. Then we can get back to the basics of actually respecting each other as individuals in this country and get to the order of rebuilding what it used to be, strong and free, right? But until that happens, like I say, it's just whistling Dixie, right? Fear is the greatest motivator. Yeah. People go to the fight or flight and not use critical thought, just want to be safe. You use that critical though because of your username, right? Because you know that's not how you spell critical, right? Just want to be safe. The government offers security. Yeah, offers security with chains. Oh yeah, I agree. Like I say, I've been here. First of all, point any of these YouTube channels, any of these YouTubes, pointed any of them out that's been talking about this stuff as long as I have, and as forthright and as serious as I have, then I'll look to them for leadership. Until that comes, like I say, I'm still waiting for it, but until that comes, I think some other people should be recognized that they're on the wrong side of things. Have a live whistle channel. I don't have a girlfriend at the moment. I also have no drama. Yeah, but you know what? That's the thing. Like, yeah, women can bring some drama, but my God, they also bring amazing things too, right? That's the thing. I don't know. They have so many great candidates out there with channels sharing truth and facts. We just need to bring them all together somehow. Any ideas? Yeah. Well, I definitely have ideas. There should be lots of engaging and interactions amongst each other, but like I say, everyone's too busy trying to fight amongst each other and virtue signal their love for the state. I don't know. Like I say, Missy, I wish and I hope, and maybe someday I'll be proven wrong, but I don't have any hope in us coming together. Like I say, when it'll probably happen, when things get so bad, so desperate, when it's too late. That's when it'll happen. But you know what? We'll have to figure out what to do at that point in time, because between now and then, I just don't see anything happening. I just don't. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but tell people are willing to reject their statism, because that's at the end of the day, it's statism. It's that indoctrination that we were all inundated with, and every single one of us, none of us escaped it. It's all, I mean, well, me, I've managed to escape most of it. There's still residual aspects of it where I still got to fight every day to make sure I'm clear and concise in regards to this, which tells you just how powerful that indoctrination was. Well, because they got us when we were kids. We were just little kids. Our minds were just barely starting to develop when they started fucking putting this shit in our mind in terms of, government, but they do it in such a subtle way throughout the education system. And because they rely on your parents and your aunts and your uncles, everyone to enforce all that bullshit, is we all grow up and we trust even if we don't trust the people in our like the teachers or the principals and stuff, we trust people in our family. And the fact that our families, like parents or uncles, and supported us going to these institutions, getting indoctrinated like that, and they all supported it. They all thought it was a good idea. You better get to school, right? And then none of them, or very few of them, ever did the job of trying to unwind that indoctrination. It tells you that it's, like I say, it's and for most people to grow up with that indoctrination front and center and never hearing the kind of information people like me usually espouse, a lot of work, folks. I don't know. That I 100% agree. Never give up your guns. Never, 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 never. Yeah, no, not too much. Not too much. You, like I say, Leo. Like I don't know. Like I say, you're not as bad, but a lot of the other ones are. It's just constantly. But yeah, you're not. You're definitely not as bad. Lots of cops are cool. Say how is that? Like, can you explain that? How you think that the cops are cool? Would it be cool for me to go out to my neighbor and start fucking shaking him down for $100 based on, I don't know, I want him to do something that I deemed illegal, and if he doesn't do it, if he doesn't respect my authority to do whatever I tell him, I'll start. I don't know, like, hopefully you said that as a sarcastic thing there, Leo or Dustin, because I would definitely disagree with you there. Matter of fact, if someone the police and would like to have a discussion or debate, well, see, that just goes to show you smoke weed with them, but meanwhile they would have also, see, that's the fucking thing that's crazy. Those very same cops would have been the same one that when you ass in jail if they caught you while they were on duty, right? And they wanted to, I don't know, let's say show that they had a big drug bust, like, I don't know, or no, actually, perfect example. So let's say they like you, Dustin. Let's say you're buddies with them and they'll smoke weed with you, right? Whether it was legal or illegal. But let's say they'll be cool with you because you're friends with them. But what about the people that they fuck with every day? Right? All day, every day. That's what their job is. All day, every day. Is to fuck with people. For most of the time, it's victimless crimes. Most of the time that you're being fucked with by the cops is because of some stupid political mandate or some piece of legislation that has nothing to do with any victims or anything, or what, you sped 20 some kilometers, or in Ontario, was it, if you go 50 kilometers over, they'll even impound your goddamn vehicles and shit. I don't know. Like I say, I mean, teach their own if you're into that stuff. But like I say, on that topic, I would gladly like to have a genuine discussion with you with that, because it's pretty easy to prove that no, cops are immoral. That's like if you were living in Nazi Germany saying, hey, yeah, but hey, fuck, man, we smoked a cigarette together. There's a couple of the Nazi guards that were watching over this house full of Jews, and I'm not a Jew. But and maybe I had a brother or a nephew that or an uncle that was a cop that knew this one cop, and I was talking to this, but do you not realize that what those fuckers doing? They got people in that house that they're going to fucking oppress and possibly lock up because nothing more than something that their political master told them to do. So he might be being nice to you at the moment, right? But are they really good peeps? I would say no. Like I say, I don't agree with any of that shit. Well, I don't agree with that either. Critical. Why? Because, like I say, like, I don't even know how you can make that argument. You literally when your videos, you're talking about how authoritarian the government is. So you're talking about how much our liberties and freedoms are being restricted, right? Well, how do you think that happens? Do you think any Canadians worried about fucking Trudeau fucking do anything to them, or Elizabeth May, or fucking, I don't know, Legault in Quebec, any of these politicians? Do you think any of those politicians are a threat to you or I? No, not at all. Not fucking worried about them at all. Not fearful of any of these goddamn politicians or what they can do to me, right? But how they can do what they do, because they got all those order followers, right? All those police. Now, like I say, the military, I'm all for it if you had a military that only defended the Canadian people against, foreign threats, which is what a military is supposed to be. But when was the last time Canada had a military force imposing a threat on our shores? East Coast, West Coast, whatever, right? When's the last time? Right? But people all the time. And I know lots of these people, and they probably be mad at me right now if they were watching this video, but I don't care, because I'm honest with people. I don't care if they like it or not. But you signed up for the military in a time when there's no threats, You know that they'll send you to these foreign fucking countries to go fuck around with people, right? You know they'll send you to like, well, I mean, at the day, like back in the day, whether it's Kosovo or later than that was, you know, any of those African nations or over to Afghanistan, you know that they're just going to send you to go kill people that you don't know, or to defend people from other people that you don't know who's the good guy or the bad guy, only basically what your politician telling you. What you're doing when you're signing up to the military today, you're saying, I'm willing to forego my own morality, my own ethics, my own mind, even to follow the orders. Because once you go into these positions, you have to follow the orders. That's part of the job. You have to follow the orders. And because the ones that are handing out the orders, as we've seen time and time again, the orders are to go fuck with people you don't know in foreign countries, or if you're talking with the police, is go fuck with Canadians on a daily basis, cause them serious, irreparable. For people like myself, I lost a whole decade of my goddamn life, my 40s. Probably the most productive 10 years of my life I lost because of these fucking order followers, these bootlickers, right? And why? Because no reason other than they followed orders. And they do this every day. Now, are they bad 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? No. Fucking Hitler. I mean, if you're making an argument to say that not all cops are bad, then I'll make the argument and say Stalin wasn't all that bad. Because I guarantee you, that's the kind of argument that you're basically making, is because I guarantee you that Stalin or Mao or fucking Hitler or any of these authoritarians were nice to some people, right? Pretty sure, like Hitler had a girlfriend, right? Eva or whatever the hell her name, Ava or whatever. Stalin, I'm pretty sure, I never got into their personal life, but I'm sure some of these tyrants, these authoritarians had families, had wives, had maybe mothers or fathers or grandparents or a friend or two, or a neighbor that they would talk to or maybe crack a beer with, right? And I'm sure their neighbor would say, oh no, Joe's a great guy. Well, oh yeah, but meanwhile, how many millions of people died at the hands of his regime based on his orders? Yeah, Joseph Stalin, I'm talking about, obviously, right? But I mean, same with Adolf. Oh yeah, right. I mean, I'm sure at some point in time, or even back during that whole time between 1939 14/5, I'm sure there were lots of people saying, oh no, he's a good guy, man. Oh no, he's doing what's right. He's doing what's right for us, man. He's standing. It's like, meanwhile, like, really though? Really? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how you can make that argument. In the 1950s and 60s, maybe even up into the 70s, maybe you might have been able to make an excuse that like police were decent. Why? Because most of the laws on the book weren't as draconian as they are today. There weren't nearly as many laws. They didn't have to enforce that many laws. They weren't even perceived as law enforcement. They were considered police or peace officers. So their mindset, their psychology was totally different. At that point in time, you could say, yes, there were good, and there were still bad people, right? There were still bad people that went into the police force to do bad things or to be bullies, right? The ones that, were picked on school and like, oh, I'm going to become a cop so I can fuck with anyone I want now because got that little man syndrome, right? At that time, you could say, yes, there were good and bad cops. And I would probably suggest that the majority were even good. But when you live in 2020 there's as many rules, as much authoritarianism and laws on the books as there are today, like I say, the reality that exists, knowing that, well, if you go into to be a police officer today, knowing that these kind of rules are out there and everywhere, and you have to follow those orders, and things like, perfect example, this lockdown, as a police officer, you got to follow those orders, right? And if you're, like I say, you're occupied by the state and you have to follow those orders, well, can you still make a claim that you're a good person? I don't know. You're making that Nuremberg case that, well, I was just following orders. But like I say, during the Nuremberg trials, it was proven, and they even said, never again. The excuse of just following orders, never again. And I agree wholeheartedly. I, for one, will never accept the excuses, I was just following orders. Nope. If somebody tells you to do something in your brain should at least be reflective enough that's like, no, this is not right. I should not be doing this. I'm actually causing more harm than I'm doing good. But police are willing to put that, like I say, their own morality, their own ethics aside and just follow the orders. So good ones, not as far as I'm concerned. Under one place, I don't think it would be a good idea for everyone to get together all in one place. It'd be a good way to pick us all off, right? That's right, Ben. This has to come back to we the people. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. When you say we the people, there's a lot of people as we recognize. I don't know. I just feel like I'm repeating myself a lot in there. All these talking points that you use, they're all just they're so vacuous and so meaningless. That's the problem. Why I guess that's probably why I end up having a lot less people engaging and interacting with me, because everyone still wants to play these stupid fucking games. There is no we the people. There is no we the people. There's those of us who care for liberty, and then the rest of the Canadian citizens that don't, or the ones that are sitting on the sidelines and don't give a fuck how bad we're treated. So where's the we the people? I know it sounds good, right? And it's a rallying cry, and everyone, well, we should all come together. But why do you think that doesn't happen, Leo? The reason why these rallying cries are not going to work, even this whole nationalist sentiment, not going to work, because, like I say, there are enough of us out here that see the world for what it is. Like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? Yeah, I've seen this movie before. Turn the channel. So I don't. There's no we the people. There is no we the people. The idea of a firearm behind every blade of grass, similar to the U.S., is a good defense. That's, to me, that is much more important than we the people. Right? Yeah, 100% there, Sinico. That is what that to me. Now that's speaking more sensible. Is yes, because tyrants, order followers, enforcers, all these people, their language is the gun, is force, is violence. That's how they speak. That is what the state is. That's what the state represents, is a monopoly of force or violence. So when you're talking to people, the only language they understand is force or violence. Is, well, exactly. Well, what's the other two options to deal with people that their whole lives are all about preemptive forces or preemptive force or threats of violence? Well, you can either cower, right? Turn your head or turn away and run the other way. So flight, or you can try to communicate with them. That is basically, other than going toe to toe in violence, is you either try to communicate with these people or you flee from these people. I've seen, well, in the countries, like, you can't really flee them because they're everywhere, right? So that's kind of an impossibility. Talk to them. Go ahead, try that sometime. I'll even suggest, I'd be more than willing, if a cop wants to come on to my YouTube channel and stand in defense of the cops and make me look bad and show how good the cops are, then come on here. No one will ever take up that challenge, because, like I say, they'd have a real hard time making that case. But yes, when threats of violence, like, just think about if someone's coming to your house to steal from you or to invade your home, right? Well, you can either try to hide from them, but they're still going to steal your shit. So you might be able to hide from them, but if they're coming, they're still going to steal your shit. So you're still going to suffer something negative as a consequence of that, right? You could try to talk them out of it, but if they're unwilling to be talked out of it, then what other option you have left? If they're coming to bring violence or force or theft towards you, well, then you have to, at the very least, be able to show that a deterrent against force is force itself, right? The only way to deter preemptive force is defensive force. If you don't have the ability or the competence or the willingness to have defensive force, then the ones that are willing to impose force preemptively are going to win every time. So, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Yes, they do. The ones who will turn on their own neighbors, those will not think for themselves. Yes, and that's the other thing. It's not just the ones that wear badges. Yes, there are people like your neighbors, right? That's what I mean. That's why, like, the we the people thing doesn't work either. Because, I mean, come on, how do you think all these people are getting these tickets? Not like the cops or the bylaw officers are all out there all the time to see what's going on. A lot of times is, yes, their neighbors called them and said, hey, get over here. My neighbor's out walking their dog, right? So we the people, not much, because, like I say, no, those of us who are caring about liberty, and, like, to me, I'm the libertarian. So you already know where I'm at, right? That's the beauty of the label. I don't normally, historically, I don't really care much for labels, to be honest with you, to tell you the truth. But when you see that name libertarian, well, you know exactly where I'm standing. You know what I'm all about, or at least you get at least a rough idea what that's about. But so many other people that want to do their own thing, play the conservative thing, like I say, I know if they're libertarians, I at least know, even if they want to identify and play the political game, I at least know we're all at least on the right page in terms of understanding that liberty is what matters most, individual liberty. Because that's the thing with libertarians, it's all about individual liberty, not collective liberty, like not groupthink, not collectivism, but individual liberty. So people already know what I'm all about. A lot of the other Canadians in this country that claim to want to defend liberty, but as soon as you start talking to them, it's like, oh no, they like some liberty, but they want to take away liberties if it's this or that. To me, I'm like, no, I'll expand out liberty entirely, right? I don't make exceptions. Everybody deserves to be free if you're an individual. I don't care about if you're a right winger or a left winger, right? Or an atheist or a religious fundamentalist. I believe everybody deserves to be free. And I don't chop it up into this thing of left versus right. It's authoritarianism versus libertarians. So you're like, that's the thing with, if you recognize what freedom's all about, that there is no right or left to it, then it makes it that much simpler for us to actually, if you want to create a we the people, right? And that's easy done. If you want to create a group of people that genuinely should be able to get together and fight for freedom in this country, which can happen, like it can happen. But what it is the rest of the people in this country, whether they're YouTubers or people watching the stream, everyone's got to get in the mindset it's authoritarians versus libertarians. Or if you just want to say people that want to use force as a means to an end, or people who just want to live and let live, right? That's what it comes at the end of the day. People that want to be peaceful, right? Want to use voluntary means for social or economic engagements, and ones who want to use force. The ones that want to use force, like, and some of them, I get it. I totally get it. That some on the right and left, they're going to have different variations in what kind of force they want to use or how much force they want to use. You know, how long the force should be used, all that thing. But they're all, at the end of the day, whether they're liberal, conservative, NDP, green, whatever, they all want to use force at the end of the day as a means to their end. Once you recognize that that's the enemy, and it's the ones that are like, I'm a peaceful person. I think all social and economic interactions should be voluntary and peaceful. And the only time violence should ever be used would be as a means of defense, right? Although we know the bad people are going to still be bad, but we should still have the ability to defend ourselves. But as long as we get to, like I say, we get to that same grasp or understanding where the people in this country are starting to realize that no, the true us versus them are statists versus libertarians. People who want to use force against people who have a live, let live mentality. Until we get to that point where everyone realizes, okay, do you want, because like if you're advocating for force as a libertarian, it's like even if I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not the kind of force. Well, that force actually won't be imposed on me because that's more towards left wing type people, right? It's like, well, I still won't agree with it because I believe in the universality of freedom. I don't want it to be just beneficial to me. I want all Canadians to benefit from that freedom. Anyways, I know I kind of went in a little bit of a tirade, but to me, this is the most important thing, folks, because we do have to, at some point in time, those of us who care about freedom and liberty and all that stuff, we do have to come together. I agree 100% with that. But like I say, it's not going to happen until people finally get up to speed and start to realize who the us versus them is. Because right now, no one knows. Most people in this country still don't know who the us versus them truly are. And until people feel, like I say, it's like, could you imagine trying to go into it? Like if you were actually trying to have a battle, right? Whether it's intellectual or any kind of battle, you have to at least know who the fuck your enemies are. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You might be picking off the guy that's on either side of you, right? Or to your six, right? Like you have to at least know who the enemy is. And most Canadians in this country don't have a clue who the hell the true enemy to freedom is. So until that happens, like I say, I just can't align myself with people that don't know who the enemy is. Because, yeah, I could be very much put in the crosshairs as a consequence. Wake up, Canada. Right on. Good for you. I just say up yours. Oh, right on. That's awesome. Oh shit, it's 2 hours and 13 minutes. Well, that's okay. Then we'll do that. That's a good idea there, Leo. Because yeah, that's something we should do. So we'll do that, but we'll do it as a standalone. we'll make our own stream and we'll talk about that. Actually, if you're comfortable with having that conversation, like I would never seek to try to entice you to do anything that you're not comfortable with. But if you would like to, because that is a conversation that I would like to have with you. So let's set that up there, Leo, after I get off this stream. How do we contact? How do I it's been a while since I've contacted with you. Is it Twitter? Yeah, it's Twitter, I believe. So I'll message you on Twitter and we'll set up a time and we'll do a stream. Because yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'll do that this weekend, hopefully. Actually, I think I got one. What do I got going on this weekend? I was supposed to do a thing with Gene Belfort today, but it was later in the afternoon. And my wife, actually, we have plans, so I had to kind of change it up. We're going to do it again anyways, but it was about the UBI. And, I already talked with that other dude from ThinkSpot about the universal basic income, although definitely Gene is much more knowledgeable on the topic. So I definitely want to have that conversation with Gene still, and I'm going to have it with him. It's just going to have to be at a future date. Oh, right. Tim Mullen's co-host, David Bimbon. So that's going to be, oh, no, that's not this Sunday. Sorry. No, that's not this Sunday. Okay, my bad. Next Sunday. So actually this week I'm wide open, Leo. If you're still in the chat, I'm wide open. And we can, I don't care, Saturday or Sunday. And obviously I would prefer it earlier in the day if you don't mind. Although we can work around each other's schedule. That's not a big problem. But yeah, we can do it this weekend if you'd like to. But yeah, there's no point in me bringing you in here now because I'm already friggin' 2 hours and 15 minutes. We might go another couple hours yet, right? But yeah, we'll do that, Leo. We'll have a conversation because yeah, I really would like to know if you're like where you are on if we're on the same page in terms of that stuff. Because like I say, to me, it's really important for me to know who the hell I can trust out there. Because that's what's holding me back at this point in time. Because like I say, I got burnt by a few peeps. Actually, the whole PBC thing turned out to be honest with you, folks, it turned out to be absolutely detrimental for me to support the PBC in so many ways, not just by sheer fact that Tim Mullen, like I remember when we were having that chat that time, like, damn, I felt bad about it because Tim felt like I kind of let him down and by supporting the PBC. And I kind of get where he was going with that, but it wasn't just about the whole thing with the Libertarian Party of Canada and the fact that, I chose to support the PBC instead, but it was the relationships that I built as a consequence of that. And how, like I say, I tried to appeal and appease to a lot of statists, but at the end of the day, the statists constantly wanted to drag me into their realm and beat me down with statism, even though they were promoting statism light, right? And I'll admit their form of statism was much better than some of the alternative forms of statism, but they were basically trying to beat me down to align with their form of statism, which is like, listen, I know exactly where I'm at. I'm not going to race down to your level. Either you come the fuck up to mine or just we'll communicate from afar because like I say, plus, I had always talked about how I would never delve into politics, right? And then I dove into politics. To me, what I did, and for what? For nothing. No, BBC got no support. Well, I mean, very, very minimal support. No seats. Maxime didn't even get to keep his own seat. So do I have a lot of regret in terms of the whole PPC thing? Yeah, I really, really do. And it like I say, it burnt me. I'm now having to, it's almost like I'm having to rebuild and rebrand myself all over again, which is already difficult. I mean, come on, in Canada, YouTube channel and trying to talk about this stuff, it was already like a Herculean task for someone like myself to do what I did. But like I say, I feel like I've set myself back by supporting the PBC. I feel like I've set myself back so many steps and so many stages now where I'm not even caught up to where the hell I was before, never mind trying to get out in ahead of things these days. So like I say, I'm more than willing to touch base and have conversation with more other people out there. But at the end of the day, trust. Without the trust, we're in a whole lot of trouble. We're in a big pickle here without the trust because I'm not going to do it again. Like I say, I'm the kind of person, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. I'm all in. I'm balls in. If I know you're trustworthy, I'm full of that. And to me, loyalty. I mean, I've been with my wife 30 years. I've still got the first car I ever bought in the 1980s. I still have it, right? My car that I drive now, well, I haven't driven it for a while, to be honest with you now, but the car I have currently is 15 years old or 16 years old. So I'm very loyal to a fault at times. But once someone has destroyed my trust, like I say, I'm loyal, but that comes with the trust. Once the trust has been broken, and ask anyone that's ever known me. Once you've destroyed my trust, good luck ever getting it back. Because then it's like that thing's always going to be in my mind, in the back of my head, where I might not be able to trust you. And I'd rather just I'd rather start new with a whole new person or a whole new group than to have to constantly live my life wondering if I can trust that person anymore. So to me, at the end of the day, trust is it's a very, very important thing to me. It's the most important thing is in terms like us come together and having these kinds of conversations. So, and I'm not suggesting you haven't so far. Like I say, so far, you and AJ are two of the guys, the YouTubers that I still to this day communicate with. Don't have any like major disagreements with in terms of our willingness or our ability to talk about these things. I'm very thankful that you do that, Leo. But like I say, let's make sure we're not doing, or you're not doing, just don't give me any reason to not trust you, and we'll be good to go. Anyways, sorry folks, but yeah, I'm going to, sorry. Damn. Anyways, I'm going to tie this stream up, everyone, because I've been on here for quite a while now. There's one more here. If you can't get a hold of Critical Thinker on Twitter, I can send you a link for Telegram. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I can. Pretty sure I can. But really, I appreciate that, though. Raging Canadian. Taking the words from my mouth about loyalty. Yeah, right on. Well, because it's important, right? I mean, trust is something, I mean, yeah, profoundly difficult. And when someone breaks your trust, and that's hard. That's hard for me. That's hard for me because there was like a few people that I thought for sure. Yeah, I agree, Missy. I thought for sure there were a few people that we were good to go, but no, nope. And like I say, they burnt the bridges so fucking bad that there'd be no chance of even ever rebuilding. And I don't, like I say, I don't want that to happen with too many more people because there's just not that many Canadians in Canada that care as much about freedom as we do. So I don't want to get to the point where I'm losing out on more because, like I say, there's just not enough people in this country. I can't afford to lose anymore. Can't afford it. Right on, the anarchists. No masters, no slave. People are saying how tyrannical government is and how much power it is. Maybe now would be a good time for a strong libertarian party riding on the idea of. Yeah, I agree. And you know what? Like Tim Moen is an excellent leader and an excellent spokesman for liberty. And he's a no holds barred kind of guy. He'll say basically the same kind of things I'm saying. And he's the leader of the Libertarian Party of Canada. Check out his channel, actually, Tim Moen, Liberty Journey. And yeah, like go on the social media pages, like the Libertarian Party of Canada. And, you know, like I say, do whatever you can to support the people that actually do care about freedom. And at the very least, like I say, the people who support the Libertarian Party are libertarians. So, like I say, at least you know you're halfway there when you're dealing with libertarians. Not all of them. Like I say, there's some that believe in limited statism and all that stuff. But at the very least, you got people that are, you know, more than halfway there. So, you know, lot more opportunity there than probably a lot of your other fellow Canadians. Yeah, if you support government gun control, yeah, you definitely support slavery. I agree with it. God is in us. God shows from the inside. Right on. Western separation is the only way out of this mess. Well, yes, for Alberta and the folks out there. Yeah. Okay. Less in the West, though. Right on. Right on. Anyways, folks, like I say, I better get off this stream because I'm already 2 hours and a half basically into it. Yeah, Tim is a great guy. Yeah, a lot taller than I thought. Yeah, he's a tall dude. Lots of gray buttons on YouTube. Gray buttons. Anyways, folks, like I say, I'm going to tie this stream up there now. I appreciate everyone who did show up here. Like I say, so this weekend I'll probably be having a chat with Leo. Maybe Saturday or Sunday. Anyways, I'll reach out to him and I'll let you know. We'll just keep an eye open for my streams and we'll be having a conversation. And like I say, I got that interview with David that'll come up on the 17th. And then maybe I'll reach back out to Gene and have that universal basic income conversation, maybe next week during the week, next week on a weekday or something like that. But anyways, like I say, really appreciate everyone that showed up to the stream, and I'll see you in the next one. It's Canadian Libertarian. Oh, and by the way, thanks again to the gentleman who became a new member. Like I say, I'll give you another special shout out when I do my next stream. And then the rest of you folks, have yourself a great day. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.